As always, is the hashtag Biashara Tuesday, hashtag Rise Today. Tag us, the station, at KUTV_Kenya, at Richard_OKENYE. Those are my personal handles. That's why you can leave a comment, feedback, DM, anything that you have to say as we go on with the show. All the way to 10 in the morning, we're tackling issues of business, the economy, technology, and a bit of politics, of course, in that discussion that will show up in the newspaper review section later. I'll be joined here by Fendo Godwin, and Nick Mwadime Mwangi, the National Executive Director of the Mount Kenya Universities and College Students Association. They'll be here to dive deep into the happenings of the day and of course throughout the week. Last week, I know Nick Mwadime was there in that Limuru 3 meeting that was happening by the Mount Kenya political bigwigs and anyone of interest, especially in the Jubilee Party. As a member of the Jubilee Party, let us know what those plans are looking like in the Mount Kenya region. However, most importantly, we're having a look at the business of the economy. Yesterday at 10 in the morning, President William Ruto landed in the United States of America for a 5-day state visit. This is actually a first of its kind, the first African leader to be invited on an official state visit since 2008. So the question that comes to mind is why? Why now? Especially this year when the United States is expected to go to the general election. President William Ruto is being hosted by the president, the 46th president of the United States, Joseph Biden Jr. Kenya is a very strategic player, especially in the global arena. So it's no surprise that our president is the first one to be invited since 2008. Again, the question is why, and why at this time? Our strategic value could be tackled in a lot of ways, and we're hoping to do that during this show. What kind of benefits are we going to realize in this US-Kenya relations, which are supposed to be strengthened towards this end of the first term of Joseph Biden Jr.? One of those I actually had a look at a couple of strategic reasons or strategic values that Kenya offers to the rest of the world and why it is important to the United States. Maybe just to highlight as you wait on to see how we get into tackling these various strategic values when we get to the newspaper review section later on. But just to highlight to you, global peace and security, we have been a key leader and continue to be to play a leading role in peacekeeping, peace support, and peace enforcement, especially in this region. If you look at Somalia, if you look at Southern Sudan, if you look at Ethiopia, if you look at Congo, Kenya is a very key player in ensuring that we are an ally in fighting terrorism, in fighting transnational organized crimes. And now we are gearing ourselves to send troops to Haiti, and that is with support of funding from the United States and other multinational agencies. Diplomatically, Kenya hosts the only United Nations headquarters in the global south, which is also a host to 20 UN agencies. In the whole global south, Kenya in Nairobi is the only one with a UN headquarters, which makes us very important to the United States and of course the global community. That is our diplomatic strategic value. Economically, Kenya is the most vibrant and the most open economy, given we are also trying to give visa free to every other nationality to come and do trade, business, and any other investment with global organizations we know are setting up headquarters right here in Nairobi. Geographically, we are the key gateway to East Africa's economy and Central Africa, especially on matters of investment. Finally, we are also apparently a model for democracy, which I differ, but we'll be also handling it with Nick Mwadime Mwangi. But we do have actual good credentials. From 2022, we held a fairly peaceful elections, and the transition from the previous regime to the current one was completely peaceful. This makes us very important to the United States. However, this year, I wonder whether the state visit by President William Ruto means the kind of speeches we're going to see in the coming few weeks are in support of Joe Biden, who is looking to secure himself a second term in the United States presidential seat. On Wednesday, that's when President William Ruto will get to be hosted in the southern lawns of the White House in Atlanta, Georgia by Joe Biden. We're looking forward to see what kind of strategic ties and what kind of new agreements and what goodies the president will be bringing back to the nation once he arrives. We'll tackle all of that, as I said, again, in the newspaper review section later on. However, I also have a conversation that's very relevant, political, what do we call it? Anything that is opulence, especially in this country where poverty is deep, information is power. But misinformation is also something that is coming up, especially in Kenya, where the proliferation of smartphones and the internet continues and puts Kenya at a very fast position, especially in terms of the digital economy. But how do you ensure that you're not getting misinformation? How do you separate fake news from actual news? Donald Trump, the former president of the United States, is the one who has popularly, of course, used the phrase fake news. And now we're trying to understand how exactly you, as a person, can discern this. Good news, fake news, true news. How do you ensure they're not getting any misinformation and just running along with it? This year, especially with the elections happening in the United States, that's supposed to show up, especially on our social platforms. A lot of misinformation in the age of artificial intelligence, manufactured and manipulated video footage, written content, news. Most of the information that you pass by on the digital platforms, half of it or more could be fake. But what kind of channels can you use to ensure that you're getting the right information and you're not also one of those channels or one of those people who are spreading misinformation? I'm handling that conversation with Donna Mura, who is a USIU Africa Journalist of the Year from 2023-2024, Youth Against Misinformation and Fake News. She'll be tackling that alongside a gentleman by the name of Duncan Maigwa. Duncan Maigwa is a strategic communications expert and officer at CRECO. CRECO is the Constitution and Reform Education Consortium. So they'll be here to let us know how information is power and how you can use it in the most powerful way possible. There are articles in the Constitution which guard against misinformation. That is the 2018 Computer Misuse and Cybercrime Act of 2018 and the Elections Offences Act of 2016. Although these two legislations are providing punishment for making and publishing fake news, both legislations are actually inadequate in terms of tackling misinformation and disinformation, especially of any subject matter, when it comes to politics and political information. So we'll be handling that. You want to tune in and ask any questions that you have in regards to that. Tell us what you would like to hear from our guest of the day here at KUTV Kenya, as I said, at Richard_OKENYE, understanding misinformation and disinformation and everything else that will show up in the papers. Of course, I'll be handling it and happy to get what your feedbacks look like and the reactions that you're giving us on the social platforms. I'll be also checking out what you're saying on the live stream happening on YouTube, that is KUTV Kenya, and also on Facebook. So if you're walking out of the house and want to follow along with the show, those are the links to use. If you're in diaspora, tuambie kama unaona show, unaona ukiwa wapi, and also what your comment is like this morning. Welcome to the best of your morning breakfast television on this side of the sub-Saharan. My name is Richard_OKENYE. Let's kick off the show. Let's look at what is happening on those roads, courtesy of Mathri route and also weather information. The Kenya Met Department warns, first of all, that there's going to be continued heavy rainfall in the country all through to at least Thursday, but especially today and Wednesday. So you should be taking care of yourself wherever you are at. Flash floods and also massive landslides expected in the lowland regions of Kenya, and where heavy rainfall is expected, especially in the Rift Valley. I'll be giving you of the actual weather conditions, precipitation percentage that you can expect, and also what you should be dressing like as you go out. But first, what is happening on those roads? Matthew Root is giving me information of the current transport and traffic conditions in the city and its environs. So, uko wapi saa hizi as you're going out to work or for business? Umekwama wapi? Alternative routes ni gani? Watu watumie gani or avoid gani? Those are what we are looking at. Steve Mtua anasema there's traffic before Mto wa Mawe Athi River due to an accident involving a bodaboda and a matatu. FH hizi za Ukambani. FH ni gani mtu wangu? But thank you for that information. There's traffic happening because of an accident in the areas of Athi River, Mto wa Mawe. There is an accident there. Near Safaricom PLC, Wayaki Way, pia keep safe. There's a small snarl up because of a little bit of accident also happening there. Thika Road is clear, surprisingly, this morning. So if you're going out from Thika to town, unafaa kuwa uko shwari kabisa. Do not overtake uphill on any climbing lane in Kenya unless you can see a clear road ahead. Otherwise, bam, that's what you're going to find. That's Anayechunga anatupatia information vile utajichunga when you're going out and you're trying to overtake uphill. Ngong Road, watu wanasema nywe all the way to town and the other way around as well. A car carrying chicken has toppled over. This was a few days ago actually. So Hazel Gashoka gives us that. We don't know which road that is, but do let us know. Taj Mall in North Airport roundabout kumejaa maji since juzi. Tufanye nini jameni? Morris Tike is wondering there. You can avoid Kiambu Road. If you can avoid Kiambu Road, do so now. It's on a standstill from Thindegwa. That's Muita. Cyrus Maxi anasema if you're on Kiambu Road, pole kwako sana. Thick traffic outbound from Muthaiga. I'm guessing that's also a build-up from Kiambu Road. So watu wanatoka Kiambu Road passing through Muthaiga, find alternative routes. Pitia Runda or some, I don't know. Let us know which alternative routes you're using. There's going to be rain in the CBD, so beware. Kutakuwa na traffic later in the day if you're getting out of work. Heavy traffic on the Southern Bypass at the Lenana Exchange as you're heading to Kikuyu Town, and then finally from the bypass, at the bypass from Upper Hill to join Raila Odinga Road. There's also traffic. Raila Odinga Road is the formerly Mbagathi Way that is right there next to Kenyatta National Hospital. So if you're coming from the areas of Langata, Timol, ujue kwamba Raila Odinga Way kumeshikana sana. So what is the weather updates for this day and how can you dress up appropriately for that? This is the rainfall map of Kenya that I have here with me, and it seems that in Nairobi, Dagoretti, Westlands, it will rain heavily, followed by Langata, Roysambu, Kibra, Embakasi South, and Embakasi East. However, the rest of the other parts will just experience normal pour. So you can check out the Meteo Department of Kenya, which says there will be about 30 to 40 millimeters of rainfall expected in those areas that I have mentioned, and in the Rift Valley region especially. They give out a memo here that also points out that the areas of Kisumu, Homa Bay, Siaya, and Migori, the Lake Basin, will experience heavy downpour. So, weather updates on exact weather conditions of the moment. This is how it looks like. 17 degrees Celsius where I am at. This KUTV studios, the outskirts of Nairobi, 17 degrees Celsius. At around 8 to 9 a.m., we're expecting drizzling, and then also expecting rainfall from around 1 p.m. all the way to midnight. So carry an umbrella, dress warmly. This is expected to continue, as I said, all the way to Thursday, and then subside during the weekend. Alafu next week, we experience a bit of sun as we prepare for some summer holidays. I wonder whether there's summer in Kenya. Maybe for USIU students, that those ones will know. Welcome to KUTV Rise Today, Biashara Tuesday. Just going for a short break, and then I'll be back with more discussions, conversations which are happening here, and also to look at what you guys are saying online. So keep it here. Let's have fun. All right, so political economy of opulence. That's what Greco is letting me know of, that is thriving in the face of poverty, especially when it comes to matters of absence of social accountability. So information is power. When you have the right information, it means you have the audacity to confront all those who are in power. It means you have something to back what you're saying with. And that's why it's important for you to discern fake news and actual news. Yeah. So what ways can you help yourself get that correct information, and what is the impact of fake news on society? If you look back to the elections of 2013 and see what happened, especially on the digital front, I think most of us then will be aware of the impact of fake news and how it can propagate some political narratives or whatever narratives by whoever is responsible behind the keyboard to spread that kind of information. It's become so serious that back then we used to blame our aunties for forwarding us WhatsApp messages about, I don't know what is happening, about witchcraft, about Illuminati, and we were very aware of this being fake news, but it's becoming extremely hard now to know what is real and what isn't. OpenAI, which is a company behind ChatGPT and some of the other AI models that we are aware of, is creating something very interesting coming out later this year called Sora. Sora is supposed to provide you an actual real-life looking video just from a few prompts. You could tell it to give you a video of President William Ruto insulting whoever you want it to, and you would not really know unless you knew beforehand that this is a fake video. You wouldn't know if this is a fake video. So as we go on to this developments in the world of technology, as we go on into the digital economy, Kenya is the 10th, or is among the top 10 fastest growing economies in the world when it comes to the digital front. So how do we ensure that we are giving, or that we are ensuring the self-regulation by the public when it comes to criminalizing misinformation? What can we do apart from these two acts which I read earlier on, the Computer Misuse and Cyber Crimes Act of 2018 and the Elections Offences Act of 2016? If you find someone has doctored a video of you online, what steps do you take to ensure that is handled in the most appropriate way possible, to shield yourself against political narratives which could be fake and generated by just a few bots or just a few people online with either whatever narrative they want to spread? What can you do to ensure that you know what is right and what isn't? That's the conversation I'm having with the Constitution and Reform Education Consortium, CRECO. It's important that you also get the right information given the backdrop of the Finance Bill of 2024. Public participation requires that you have the right information so that you confront the right channels. How can you do that? The Truth Patrol, Youth Against Misinformation and Fake News. That's the conversation that I'm telling you we're having in a few, and you don't want to miss out on that one. I'm really excited to know how to do that, and I'll be having that conversation first with a journalist like myself, Donna Mora, who was a Journalist of the Year from USIU Africa. She also let me know if she's going for summer in a few weeks, given USIU is the United States International University of Africa. She'll be joined alongside here by a gentleman named Duncan Maigwa, who is a Strategic Communications Officer at CRECO. So that conversation is coming up in a few. Tag us at KUTV Kenya, at Richard_OKENYE. Let me take a short break, cup of coffee, and then I'll be right back.
Kaunti maarufu kwa kuzalisha maziwa na ukuzaji wa majani chai. Pia, serikali ya kaunti inawahimiza wakulima kukumbatia mitindo mingine ya kilimo kuzidisha mapato.
kama kuna kikundi moja inafanya biashara ya kuuza kuku, hao pia tumewafadhili kuwafunza jinsi ya kuhandle zile kuku kwa sababu wanaleta kwa wingi.
Haya yote tunakuletea katika Boresha Kilimo, toleo la kaunti ya Bomet.
Kilimo ni nguzo kubwa kwa ujenzi wa taifa.
Are you an aspiring media practitioner, a graduate, or you just want to advance your skills in television production? Then welcome to Kenyatta University, where education meets innovation. KUTV, the premier university television station in Kenya, is now offering short courses in TV studio, field technical operations, and video editing. Through these courses, you will acquire hands-on skills on camera operations, media production, lighting techniques, audiovisual editing, and sound and visual control, and how to operate key equipment in modern TV control room. Enroll today at KUTV and discover your full potential in cutting-edge TV broadcasting. Graduates of these courses will receive professional certificates. For more information, visit our offices at KUTV Studios or call us on 020-870-4252 or 020-870-4255 or SMS us on 0739-110-544. KUTV, a new experience.
First time?
Yeah, I'm kind of scared, but I can do this. Mess with me. Yeah, let's do this, man.
From the hospital corridors, we bring you experts to discuss issues affecting your health. From diet to mental health, the familiar and the ignored are both put into perspective. We then dive into the environment and look at the effects of climate change and its solutions. Join me, Mutegi K. Martin, every Friday at 9 p.m. as we learn on how to better our health while taking care of our environment. Only on KUTV.
What are some of the ways through which you can develop these skills so that you are comfortably fitting into the job?
You have to put yourself in positions where you are uncomfortable. Uncomfortable in the sense that you are not clear about what to do.
Because I used to work a corporate job before. So when I left, I happened to visit someone's farm around this area.
So this project is called Security Breach Detector and Palace Familiarize. It is meant to be used to detect, detonate explosives.
We'll tackle all the tough issues, discuss all the weird moments, and hopefully share a few laughs along the way.
They are powerful and influential. They make decisions in politics, education, finance, agriculture, health, sports, and all aspects of human life. But the impact of their decisions falls on you, the common citizen. KUTV Primetime News Thursday. We ask bold questions and pursue answers to the core to bring you closer to the story. We couldn't have it any other way. Join me, Auma Evans, as I raise matters of social concern to raise your voice from the background to the foreground. Every Thursday and Saturday at 9 p.m. only on KUTV.
Right. Just let me know, what is the last piece of news that you received that you thought was actually real and you didn't know it was real? So in what ways did you personally, what methods do you use on your day-to-day? Scrolling your social media, how do you know what's right, what's true and what isn't? How do you know what's clickbait and what isn't clickbait? On a personal level, what guards have you set up in place to ensure hakuna mtu anakudanganya mtandaoni, unapiga nduru, but there's nothing that has happened really? It's just some fake news that is going around. We'd love to know what those safeguards are like for you, even as you handle that conversation with Kreko on exactly how the youth can combat fake news and misinformation. As I told you, I'm having that conversation with a journalist who lets me know that she is being labeled a digital brand ambassador, a digital ambassador. That is Donna Mora, the USIU Africa Journalist of the Year. She's already here with us and will be joined alongside Duncan, who is the communications strategic communications officer at Kreko. Kreko is a Constitution and Reform Education Consortium, especially now with the finance bill. Again, the finance bill of 2024 requires public participation. You need to know what information is true and what isn't. Did the president say that he is going to tax bread, or did he not? Did the DP say that you eat kangumu if you can't afford bread, or is that just fake news? What is true and what isn't? We'd love to know. Did Man City win the Premier League, or is it fake news? Just let us know what guards you have for yourself in combating fake news, and then we'll be doing that in a few. But in the meantime, I'm having a look at what the reporters from KUTV Newsroom have prepared for us. What is happening in the world? The KUTV Newsroom updates are coming to you here on Rise Today in a short bit. Don't go far. Okay, we are starting from my backyard. County, affiliated to different political parties, are divided over the while some expressed concern over the bill's alleged punitive effect. Others vowed to support it for the benefit of development. So let's take a look.
Kisii parliamentarians have pledged to push for the passage of a budget bill that is people-friendly as soon as they resume session. Speaking at the Bobaracho Catholic Church in Kisii Central during a fundraiser, the leaders promised to advocate for public engagement in the bill before the Finance Bill 2024 is endorsed. Chief Whip Silvanus Osoro criticized Mount Kenya leaders who met for the Limuru 3 conference for their utterances on the Finance Bill 2024. According to Osoro, the politicians had no reason to blame President William Ruto and his deputy Rigathi Gachagua for allegedly sidelining Mount Kenya region.
Mimi nataka niambie hao viongozi kwa sababu ni wale niwakumbushe. You control the government, you control the country. You actually own half of this government. You have no reason to complain. You have no reason to bring unnecessary squabbles to the national government. Tafadhali tuheshimiane.
Osoro also hinted of underway plans by Gusii leaders to organize their meeting and chart the way forward on matters including infrastructure development, claiming that as a region, they also deserve a cake from the national government.
One, inahitaji maendeleo kwetu. Hiyo ndio tunazungumza. Sisi hatutaki maneno ya kufitina na kuketi chini na kusukumana na kusumbuana. Sisi ni jamii ya Mkisii. We also deserve a cake from the national government. Kwa sababu hata kama tuko siasa namna gani, sisi tukitokanga hapa kando tunaongea lugha moja because tunataka hiyo.
But Alpha Miruka from Bomachoge Chache, Zahir Janda from Nyaribari Chache, and Doris Aburi, who is Kisii County Women Representative, voiced divergent views. They declare their resolve to clauses in the bill that will hurt Kenyans through tax increment on foodstuffs. They, however, assured Kenyans that they go for legislation that will economically empower citizens.
Even our president, a very hard-working man, my best friend, he cannot allow to increase tax so for a commodity for a poor person. we will make sure that everything we do to promote our hustlers and our nation.
Mimi niko katika serikali, lakini kwa masuala ya mkate ya kuongeza bei kwa bidhaa ya chakula, hapo mimi kidogo niko kando kidogo.
Half of Kenya shamba iko idle. Wakipata mtu ameweka hata eka 20 halimi. Tax sio shamba. Mtu akishindwa kulipia tax ipande mboga, mahindi, watu wapate chakula. Ningeomba hata pombe iwekwe tax mingi.
The Finance Bill 2024 has been met with a number of setbacks, especially from the opposition leaders who are rallying to oppose the bill. The debate on the bill is, however, expected to begin at the August House after the long recess on June 4th. Anyango Sylvia, KUTV.
On the finance bill of 2024. The proposed finance bill for the financial year 2024-2025 has sparked different opinions from Kenyans, with the majority expressing disapproval. On a report prepared by Brenda Nekesa on the streets of Nairobi, a few of them had this to say.
A spot check by KUTV in the wake of the proposed 2024-25 finance bill, various opinions and questions have been elicited from the proposed tax increase, with majority of Kenyans expressing dissatisfaction. Most Kenyans, seemingly unhappy with the current economy, are decrying low standards of living and therefore feel let down by the government and the proposed bill. Kenyans have expressed dissatisfaction with the government allocation of money towards the National Government County Development Fund, NGCDF, claiming that it's insufficient. They have expressed dissatisfaction on the utilization of NGCDF, especially the bursary fund, claiming that it's of little or no help since it's not enough.
Government must ensure that the counties that are producing more revenue are also given more money back. By this I mean it is high time that those counties that don't want to hear something about one man, one shilling, one vote, because they don't give more revenue, but they want to get more revenue, they want to get more share of the government. It is high time that they should know, it is high time they should give dairy incentives to these cows that they've been milking for all the years.
Kenyans criticize the current government for how it has been abruptly increasing taxes. A few Kenyans have opinion that they will have no problem with the proposed tax raise if the government will be utilizing the taxpayers' money with apparent transparency. They claim the development done by the government does not match the tax collected.
Take on the period that it's most soon that they created the tax, house levy and others. So how long has it taken for the businessman or the business lady to recover from the previous tax so that they can again impose the new one?
Manao tusituambie kwa lazima. Vile nyumba mahali tunaishi sisi tunalala juu ya pikipiki juu hatuna uwezo. Watoto wakule. Lakini hata mkate pia wamenyang'anya watoto mkate, wasikule mkate asubuhi. Hata sisi tunaweza shikasa kama wanaume. Nyumba gari wamesema kama hatulipi tax tuache nyumbani. Lakini nyumba wanataka kwa lazima nilipe.
Kenyans have also decried the high prices of basic needs despite increase in taxes. They also expressed their desire to see the government fulfilling the promise of heavily supporting small businesses. As the month of June approaches, Kenyans are eagerly waiting the way forward concerning the proposed finance bill. Brenda Nekesa Nyongesa reporting for KUTV.
Right, thank you, Brenda, for that report from the streets of Nairobi. We'll be sampling also what you think of the Finance Bill 2024 as we go on with this show. Let's move on to Kilifi County, where the governor, Gideon Mung'aro, has slammed the national government for consistently delaying the disbursement of funds, hindering the smooth operation of his administration. Mung'aro has criticized the trend of funds being allocated just before the financial year's end, shifting blame for poor fund utilization onto the county administration.
Kilifi Governor Edwin Mung'aro has highlighted his frustration with the national government over delayed disbursement of county funds, accusing them of hindering operations. Mung'aro has also extended criticism to the controller of budget for alleged delays in assessing funds. Meanwhile, Senator Stewart Madzayo pledges to oppose to a proposed finance bill due to its potential adverse impact on Kenyans. Speaking during the launch of the Kilifi County Assembly Strategic Plan 2024 to 2028, Mungaro called out on the controller of budget for sitting on county funds at the central bank. Mungaro urged the members of the County Assembly to agitate for the quick disbursement of funds.
Government and Treasury is getting money late. We have received money, for example. Even members now, I'm sure you have gone to research. I don't know where the clerk got money and the speaker. Because the money has been sitting in central bank. But the person who is delaying us to even assess our money is the control of budget. So we got 1.9 billion for we got 1.9 billion to pay for our strategic project.
Kilifi County Assembly Speaker Teddy Mwambire, on his part, criticized the National Assembly for allegedly killing devolution by denying counties adequate funds. He said although some members of the County Assembly had previously worked in the counties, they were yet to appreciate the importance of the devolved units, and that was why they were always reduced funds allocated to the counties by the Senate.
Safi ya kuhakikisha kwamba kunatakikana kiweze kutendeka hapa Kilifi kwa manufaa ya mkazi wa Kilifi. Lakini shida ambayo tuko nayo ni bunge la kitaifa. Sijasema wabunge, bunge la kitaifa. Na si wabunge wa Kilifi tu. Mimi nalaumu bunge la kitaifa kwa sababu kwa mara ya kwanza katika historia ya Kenya tulikuwa tunasherehekea miaka 12 ya ugatuzi. Bunge la Senate juzi walituonyesha miujiza kwamba wale ambao wakao katika upande wa serikali.
Meanwhile, Kilifi Senator Stewart Madzayo voted to reject the proposed Finance Bill 2024 when it is taken to the Senate because the bill was proposing punitive taxes that will hurt Kenyans.
The finance bill that is coming to the Senate with regards to this budget, I want to make it very clear the position of the people of Kilifi, that we do not agree at all in the increase of finances in that bill. And therefore, ikifika ndani ya Senate, mimi nitapiga no.
Governor Mungaro and other officials criticized the national government for late fund disbursement and proposed action against perceived budget mismanagement. Rahab Wanja, KUTV.
Now, elsewhere, Deputy President Rigathi Gachagua has appealed to international partners to enhance their support for programs which are geared towards battling adverse effects of climate change in the country. The Deputy President said the government has scaled up response to the phenomenon to mitigate occurrences like severe drought.
Deputy President Rigathi Gachagua has called on the international organizations to partner with Kenya in dealing with effects of climate change, highlighting that the government has put in place measures to ensure preparedness in dealing with such occurrences.
Aircraft has been around since 1978, and we are honored as a country to host the headquarters here and to really appreciate the very good work that you are doing.
Speaking on Monday when he hosted the Common Board of Trustees of Center for International Forestry Research and the International Center for Research in Agroforestry at his office residence in Karen, Nairobi, the DP said the ongoing program targeting 15 billion trees by 2032 would greatly benefit from the partners' support.
We encouraged by Craft Kenya the issue of fruit trees, because much as we are asking Kenyans to grow trees, we need to encourage them by taking them to a direction that also has a benefit. The issues of avocado, macadamia, coffee, mangoes are issues that we need a lot of support.
DP said Kenya had suffered the brunt of adverse weather linked to climate changes, including 5 failed rainy seasons that led to severe drought that hit the country before receiving enhanced rainfall that led to destructive floods, calling on them to boost the restorations of rivers in Nairobi, saying their input was critical in ensuring the success of the program.
In the restoration of Nairobi rivers, we have a program for the restoration of Nairobi River that is under very serious pollution, and we have a very serious program, and I think both C4 ICRAF and ICRAF Kenya can play a role to assist us in terms of technical advice, in terms of resource mobilization, in terms of seeing what we can be able to do together.
This comes amidst plans to ensure that floods victims are compensated, something that Kenyans are still having uncertainty on due to the late or no help from the government. Edward Nyamo, KUTV.
All right, from Deputy President Rigathi Gachagua, we move over to our international front, where the President of the Republic of Iran, Ebrahim Raisi, alongside several other top officials, including the Minister of Foreign Affairs in Iran, Hossein Amir, have been reported dead following a helicopter crash on Sunday in the northwest part of Iran. James Baraka has this report.
Top-ranked leaders across the world have issued condolence messages on social media to Iran following the sudden death of Iranian President Ebrahim Raisi and other top officials, including Minister of Foreign Affairs in Iran, Hossein Amir. In a statement on X, President Ruto extended his condolences and solidarity to the people of Iran during this difficult period, remembering President Raisi as a courageous leader and a devoted public servant with a notable career in public service. In a message to Ali Baheri, Iran's Deputy Minister of Foreign Affairs, Mudavadi conveyed condolences for the loss of his colleague, Iran's Foreign Affairs Minister Hossein Amir, who passed away alongside President Raisi and 7 others. At the same time, Cyril Ramaphosa, the President of the Republic of South Africa, expressed his condolences, highlighting some key moments he had with Raisi some times back.
Well, we're really saddened by the unexpected terrible death of President Raisi and the foreign minister. We have passed our condolences to the supreme leader of Iran and to the people of Iran. This is really a blow to them because he was a highly respected leader in Iran, and we got to meet him when I was deputy president on my visit to Iran. And we had really good discussions, and that laid a very good basis and foundation for the good relations between South Africa and Iran.
Bad weather condition is said to have been witnessed during the inauguration of a joint hydroelectric power project in Azerbaijan by President Raisi, while the actual cause of the plane crash still remains unidentified. Following this sudden death, Iran's first Vice President Mohammad Mokber has constitutionally assumed office as Iran's interim president, with a new president expected to be elected within a maximum period of 50 days. James Baraka, KUTV News.
Right, thank you, James Baraka, for that detailed report. Prior to the August grassroots party leadership elections to be held in Kilifi County, UDA party leaders have formally declared their plan of registering more new members in the county as a top priority in the bid to diminish ODM, the Orange Democratic Movement's popularity in that region. Former Ganda Ward Representative Abdul Rahman Omar, who plans to run for Malindi Member of Parliament seat, has declared that they will ensure UDA membership is maintained on a rising trajectory. At the same time, Minister of Gender Aisha Jumwa is expected to vie for Kilifi governor, and the leaders are calling on the residents to support President Ruto in the upcoming 2027 elections.
Abdurrahman Omar, former MC Ganda, ambaye pia kwa matarajio ya Mwenyezi Mungu miaka ijao niko nazo usoma bunge wa Malindi. Amin. Amin. Leo tuko hapa kama viongozi wa Malindi, wodi zote 5. Na hawa walioko hapa wote ni viongozi wa Malindi, na leo tumekuja kujadili masuala ya uchaguzi wa chama unaokuja mwezi wa 8. Na tuko tayari. Tumesema sisi kama viongozi tutafanya uchaguzi wa amani, wa upendo na umoja. Tuhakikisha chama chetu chaendelea mbele bila ubaguzi wala fitina. Na tuwaomba ama tutoa mwito kwa wale wenzetu vyama vingine, chama tawala ni chama bora, chama ambazo kwamba dereva wake ni daktari na ana maono.
All right, away from that, we take a look at a bit of education. As junior secondary school JSS teachers continue to hold strikes across the country, the teachers in Kirinyaga have, as of yesterday morning, demonstrated at Kutu's town, intending to make their grievances heard by the government. Among their grievances is wanting Teachers Service Commission, TSC, to compensate and confirm them on permanent and pensionable terms.
early morning at Kutusi town in Kirinyaga County, junior secondary teachers in the county are seen with posters and banners indicating they're not ready to work until their grievances are met. Confirmation and compensation is all we demand was the song that the teachers sang, wanting Teachers Service Commission to compensate all the 46,000 intern teachers. They also complained of discrimination between them and the primary school teachers, stating that they do the same work. Why are they discriminated?
They're both junior and senior interns. We want to be confirmed because we are not children of a lesser God, and we are here in internship. We are drained emotionally, spiritually, physically, financially. Can you please listen to the teachers if you want this generation that is currently in grade 8 and grade 7 to succeed?
The teachers also added that they are not serviced by the 17,000 that the government has been paying them, claiming that the amount is too low for them since they have lots of responsibilities and they do lots of work. They also claim that some teachers are given subjects in which they are not specialized in, thus finding it difficult to teach learners.
It is a very tiresome work where you find that someone is teaching areas which he or she never trained, and we are using our own resources like bundles to consult Mr. Google Chrome and other browsers so that you may get the know-how of the subjects which you never trained.
They have also promised to continue with their strikes despite the threats and intimidation, stating that the allegations by the TSC that teachers are in classes are rumors highlighting that they are not in class and they will not be until a time when the TSC will give an ear to their grievances.
We want to stand against all those propagandas propagated by TSC that teachers are in class and they are teaching. Actually, teachers are here and they are demonstrating. They will be here today, tomorrow, Wednesday, Thursday, Friday, and the next week. If TSC will not agree to compensate and to confirm all the 46,000 junior and senior interns.
More so, they have asked TSC to respect the court ruling and compensate them on time.
We ask TSC to follow the court ruling and to confirm and compensate us, because even the president says that he'll be following the court rulings. So let him, even the sagas in his administration, to follow the court rulings and to confirm us and compensate us.
The teachers have promised not to leave the streets if their demands are not met. Salma Swala, KUTV.
All right, that's what we have for you there this morning in terms of the updates from KUTV Newsroom. Very grateful to the reporters who've been able to prepare this and continue to do so. So please do follow the subsequent bulletins from KUTV Kenya. From 6:30 p.m. you get Mizizi Habari, the Swahili version, and then 9 p.m. that's primetime news. So from today and the other days, you can be following up on those developments across the country on real time when you tune into those bulletins. But we are coming back to matters of business, the economy and politics here on Biashara Tuesday. The conversations that are coming up are pretty exciting. From the headlines of the day, grab yourself a copy of the dailies, and also before that we'll be tackling misinformation, disinformation, fake news. I am being informed here by CRECO, which is the Constitution and Reform Education Consortium. They have a campaign called Vijana Tuchanuke 2024. Let's wise up, yani, in English. And the topic we have here today in discussion is how the youth can combat misinformation, disinformation, and fake news. They're letting me know that particularly significant is that the collective voices of the youth has been stifled through exclusion, top-down decision-making, which of course means we are not seated on the tables where these decisions are being made at, and also the absence of effective mechanisms to access accurate, up-to-date, and unbiased information. Spread of fake news, spread of propagating of fake news, unhelpful rumors, pornography, conspiracy theories, and all of this which are proliferating our social media spaces, especially because we're taking a look at how this is affecting us on the digital front. So we're going to have a look at that, the safeguard measures that you can employ on your own at a personal level. If someone is spreading fake news, what do you do? How do you sensitize those around you? How do you sensitize? How do you fact check? How do you debunk? And also, of course, having a look at those two acts, an overview of these legislations, the 2018 Computer Misuse and Cybercrimes Act of 2018 and the Election Offences Act of 2016. So tune in for that. Leave a comment, a question. We'll be right back with you. This is still Biashara Tuesday.
Kaunti maarufu kwa kuzalisha maziwa na ukuzaji wa majani chai. Pia, serikali ya kaunti inawahimiza wakulima kukumbatia mitindo mingine ya kilimo kuzidisha mapato.
Kama kuna kikundi moja inafanya biashara ya kuuza kuku, hao pia tumewafadhili kuwafunza jinsi ya kuhandle zile kuku kwa sababu wanaleta kwa wingi.
Haya yote tunakuletea katika Boresha Kilimo, toleo la kaunti ya Bomet.
Kilimo ni nguzo kubwa kwa ujenzi wa taifa.
Lola is an app that gives you a chance to watch videos, listen to audios, and read articles wherever you are for free. Motivational stories, dramas, campus life, technology, lifestyle, adventure, sports, academics, jobs, entertainment, and more. Download Lola now on Play Store. All you need, you got Lola.
Tunachimba hadi mizizi kukuletea yanayojiri.
So mimi naomba tu serikali yetu ya Mungu, ibarikiwe na Mungu, iweze kuteremsha bei ya mafuta.
Yanayokukumba tuna maizi, tunakutetea sisiri. Ukweli ni speciali tukikupambia makala ya mwanamke mwake. Utasema hupendi mizizi ya habari. Nami Caroline. Get ready to kickstart your day with the most exciting morning show around. Tune in to our dynamic and entertaining program where we keep you informed, engaged, and entertained from the moment you wake up.
From breaking news and current events to music, fun, and out of the ordinary stories, we've got you covered with a mix of interviews, games, and special segments. You never know what's in store.
Join us every Monday morning
and Tuesday morning
for a fun and fascinating way to start your day.
Don't miss out on the action.
Tune in now and experience the excitement for yourself.
Only on KUTV Rise Today from 7 a.m. to 10 a.m.
Start your day
with us.
Technology, science, innovation, ICT, and research. These are the ingredients upon which the solutions to the 21st century problems are founded. In a world that is rapidly changing, it's all hands on deck to ensure a balance in all fields of life. young and old, are also in the front line, breaking the glass ceiling, becoming thought leaders in the larger tech space. Not forgetting other societies marginalized. And when the tech Avengers come together, we inch closer to a much safer, efficient, and sustainable world. What we view as a norm in today's advanced world was just an idea, and for nostalgic reasons, we trace back to the iconic days to bring you the retro tech. On Tech Innovation Show, we encapsulate all the pillars of the fourth industrial revolution, decoded in a language, all for one for all. Every Monday at 8:30 as we push the mantra, keep learning something new each and every day. Only on KUTV, a new experience.
What are some of the ways through which you can develop these skills so that you are comfortably fitting into the job?
You have to put yourself in positions where you are uncomfortable. Uncomfortable in the sense that you are not clear about what to do.
Because I used to work a corporate job before. So when I left, I happened to visit someone's farm around this area.
So this project is called Security Breach Detector and Can Familiarize. It is meant to be used to detect, detonate explosives.
We'll tackle all the tough issues, discuss all the weird moments, and hopefully share a few laughs along the way.
Repossessing your property, intellectual or material.
This and more only on Law
All right, this isn't fake news. We are actually live on air, so don't fret, do not report us. Follow through to the conversation all the way to the end. This is KUTV Kenya Biashara Tuesday. Tag me at Richard_Kenya. I'll be looking at that feedback as we go on. Actually, let me just give a shout out to a few people who are tuning in to the show as of this moment. So far, I have Harry K tuning in from Mirema. Hey, mulifungiwa Paris, so I'm sure you're having a very peaceful night in the areas of Mirema. A couple of clubs shut down there, so we can go on with our sleeping and residential business. But thank you for tuning in. Say hi to the people of Mirema, Harry K. I also see Dulo Attires is actually the one who gave me this amazing suit that I have on today. So you can check him out on social platform, Dulo Attires. He does very amazing work, bespoke suits tailored to fit. I mean, yeah, I don't have more to say. If you can see it, believe it. All right, here also I see tuning into the show is Fabian, watching from the CBD in Kimathi House. Say hi to the people of Kimathi House. I saw another comment from our YouTube. This is Tunu TV official, just tuned in from Canada. The show is 5 fire emojis. tuned in from Canada, and the show is 5 fire emojis. Thank you very much for tuning in. Follow through and let us know what you think of the conversations that we're having here. Just about now, we are going to get into the depth of getting to understand what fake news is, spreading of misinformation, disinformation, fake news, and all of that is propagated online. How do you safeguard yourself? This is a question that I've been posing to you since we started the show. How do you safeguard? What kind of measures have you put for yourself at home? When you're scrolling first thing in the morning, how do you know what's true and what's not? Twitter has this feature where before you read, if you try to retweet an article and you haven't read it, they have a very useful note to let you know that would you prefer to read it first before retweeting it? Because that's one way of you spreading misinformation. You're retweeting something that you haven't even checked the facts on yet. So how do you first check? How do you sensitize the people around you? How do you fact check, actually? That's going to be the very most important bit of this conversation. I'm not speaking I'm not just the only one here speaking on this. I have guests who are going to help me debunk all of this and also help tackle any questions that you have. I have the Journalist of the Year from USIU Africa in 2023-2024. That is Donna Mora, Youth Against Misinformation. She'll let us know how she's handled that as a journalist and also what you can do yourself. And alongside is Duncan Maigwa, the Strategic Communications Officer, Constitution and Reform Education Consortium, that is CRECO. He'll also here on set. I'm letting them introduce themselves, what roles they have at CRECO, what a Journalist of the Year means, because I'm trying to be that. I'm trying to be the Journalist of the Year. So what does it take to be a Journalist of the Year? What kind of fake news do I have to debunk before I become a Journalist of the Year? Welcome to the show.
Thank you so much.
Yes.
Good morning.
All right, I'll start with Donna. Please have fun with the camera. Let us know of what you do also as a journalist and also at CRECO.
Okay.
Yeah.
So good morning, everyone. My name is Donna Marara. I am the USIU Africa Journalist of the Year 2023-2024. And he asked about what you have to do to get that title.
Yes, I'm writing notes.
I think that you have to be very active in the journalism department at the School of Communication in USIU Africa. So that means making sure that you're not only a top student, but you are someone who is very active and passionate about journalism and the media. I, for one, am very, very passionate about digital media because that's the future of journalism and the future of the entire world, honestly. So I like to say that I love digital media. So today's conversation is just up my alley. Now for CRECO, I guess right now what I'm doing is a digital democracy ambassador. So I'm speaking about it, and I'm very passionate about learning about misinformation, disinformation, malinformation, and all these information disorders that are affecting the digital space at the moment. So today's conversation should be something quite interesting.
All right, it should be indeed. So leave us a comment there. Anything that you like Donna to tackle, we'll be forwarding it to her on real time. Gentleman, Duncan.
Yes.
Welcome to the show.
Thank you so much.
Yes.
I'm really excited to be here.
Yes.
And most especially because of what we're here to discuss about. My name is Duncan Maigwa. I'm the Strategic Communications Officer at CRECO. CRECO means Constitution and Reform Education Consortium. We are a membership consortium of civil society organizations, actually governance focused civil society organizations. And we majorly deal with issues around human rights, democracy and governance. And now we in the current age, we are now talking about e-democracy, that is digital democracy. And that is why we are upfront, I mean, as an organization, to push on a proper handling of information, proper use of information online on the digital platforms. And I'm currently spearheading a project, Biashara Tuesday. It's a project that is aimed at enhancing the skills of young people on how to debunk misinformation, disinformation, and fake news.
Okay.
So I'm really excited about the topic.
Excited too.
we are up to the task, and we are ready to debunk and also to deal with any fake news that may also arise from this
While
show.
we are still on the show.
Still on the show.
So if I say anything that's fake news, just stop me on the track.
Flag you right there.
Please. Let's not do that. Guys, let's begin from a personal note, Donna.
Yeah.
Have you interacted with fake news before? And how did you know it's fake news? So that we know from you the safeguard measures that you have and how we can apply them to our other, or to our day-to-day.
I think the one that everybody can, and I love citing this as an example, is during COVID-19. That was the biggest, I think, amount of chunks of misinformation were being thrown at us on a daily basis. In fact, even on an hourly basis. I like to say a lot of the time that our mothers turned into doctors. They graduated from the University of WhatsApp. So a lot of them were sending us very long chain messages talking about how COVID was a manufactured disease in some lab in Wuhan, China. So, we had a lot of that coming at us, and we didn't know what was real, we didn't know what was fake. The same thing came when the vaccinations were being rolled out. The same issue we were having. People did not know whether or not they should take the vaccination or not. So I think that is probably the best example of misinformation at best. Now, the same thing also applies to like the scholarships thing. I think for us as the youth, we're always trying to look for a way to leave the country, go and get our studies from abroad. Let's look for something, greener pastures for ourselves. And that's what we've been trying to do. But unfortunately, people have used this as a tactic to target these students who are looking for a better future for themselves and throw at them fake scholarships. So people are sending hundreds of thousands of shillings to these fake or bogus sites that claim that they can offer you a scholarship in Finland, in Canada, in the UK, and you think that it's real, but it isn't. So those are some of the misinformation, disinformation things that we can cite. When it comes to what I do, when it comes to the misinformation, to make sure that I'm not being duped or I'm not being lied to, I make sure that I cross-check it on very sites that I believe are authentic. Good examples of them could be like factcheck.org or PolitiFact. Those are some good websites that can be used as fact-checking organizations so that you can just make sure that whatever that I'm hearing, is this true? Is it real? Again, a lot of the time you also have to exercise your own caution as an individual. A lot of the time, as you said, people don't read the full articles that before they even send something out. You read the first headline and then you send it out. Even if whatever is inside is not true, you have no clue about that. So you as an individual, you have to make sure that you sit down with the information, make sure that you synthesize it, evaluate it, understand it before you send it around. That'll really, really help you to not be a victim of disinformation or misinformation.
Okay, thank you very much. I think I love that aunties part, especially because we've been used to that happening, forwarded messages, be it just a random video, sometimes even aliens. It's like this is happening. There's this real footage that has happened, a sighting of a spaceship, and it's really hard to convince your mom otherwise or your aunt, that this isn't real. And I'd like to also know, by the way, as we continue discussing, how do I handle that older generation? How do I tell my father that this isn't actually correct, because when mjuaji hausikii. So that's also something around sensitizing the people around us. But let's get a personal note also from Duncan. How have you interacted with false statements and misinformation?
At times when Richard, when we talk about misinformation, disinformation, fake news, and sometimes we encounter these on a day-to-day basis. In fact, if I want to have an example even right now, on Twitter, I'll get it.
Yes.
So and
It's actually faster now to get fake news
than real news.
Yeah, man.
It is, and so sometimes you wonder what example to give, because at some point you feel, you feel a fool. So you feel a fool sometimes reading through some tweets and sometimes interacting with information. But anyway, but it's always good to say, as a band, sometimes there's always something that will break you down at some point in life. Especially when you feel cheated. And I think one that really brought me down was when I was very desperate for a job. And I submitted my documents, personal information, lots of it. I mean, it was a whole day of activity. Actually, there's nothing else I was working on apart from that job.
Like
but
that
it was fake,
application.
actually.
Oh my God.
And I ended up losing money and the job too, because there wasn't any job at all.
Anyway.
I think that was quite personal. It really brought me so low. And at that point, you are calling people. Can you assist me with this kind of money? I need some document process somewhere. CGO chapter 6. Very funny things. And sometimes you are even handed over to someone else. I remember. Let me give you an example. I remember a lady whom I was forwarded to, and this lady would tell me, "Lakini Duncan, mbona hii document hauna?" I don't think it's even. She even makes it harder. Tells you that it's even hard to get this document. So why do you want this document at such a speed? And then now she creates a need that you really need to act so fast for you now to get the document. So and it was all fake.
It looks very legit.
Yes, it was all fake, but it seemed legit. And I think the biggest problem was, but I think I fall into it because including their personal emails were organizational. It's just like, for instance, when we talk about KUTV, and I know maybe perhaps we would have, let me just use this, maybe you would have your email as maybe Richard at KUTV.xyz, for instance. And then someone comes in with Richard at new KUTV.
Yes.
So it was very easy for me to fall into that, and also being someone in the communications field and falling into such made me feel so bad. And I actually thought about the very many vulnerable young people out there who are desperate for jobs, only to find that it was fake. Yes. So that is my personal experience, I would say. That really brought me so low.
How do you do it now in terms of combating and ensuring that you don't show up thinking you're coming to KUTV, alafu ufike hapo upate it's just some guy with with his room who invited you to an interview that doesn't exist. What do you do to safeguard yourself?
Definitely, it depends with the context, because Richard, there is quite a lot. I mean, fake news, misinformation, disinformation happens in different contexts. We have it from the political context. We have it from now what we call the social, engagements. We have had celebrities suffer a lot. We have had people suffer, including very senior person, like the fourth president of Kenya. He has never recovered even today.
He's never come back to Twitter.
Yes, and when he came back, he turned off comments. You can never comment. So it happens in different spaces, and every space has its own way to deal with it.
Fact check.
Yes. So for instance, when we talk about if something is happening within the political scene, sometimes you want to see, is this information coming from maybe a particular public entity or a government institution? You would want to check on their socials. You want to check on their website, for instance. Let me give you an example. Recently, a friend of mine wanted to apply for a job, and it was a job involving the Ministry of I think Public Delivery and something. That is led by this Moses Kuria. CS Kuria. So, and there was this link, and he wanted me to help him apply. So, but when I go to this link, of course, it's a website that I thought this is a website that showcases opportunities for young people. And now this website now has another link that is supposed now to take you to the official site of the ministry. Do you know that going to that site, they had an almost 100% copy
of the
actual website. But now I was wondering, okay, definitely looking at the website, but now it was only the landing page and no more information apart from the jobs. And this one was a red flag, and I thought, no, but why would a website for a whole ministry focus only on jobs
on the landing page?
Much.
Yes.
And I went now to their social media platforms on Twitter, and then I saw their website, and then it took me to a website which was almost 100% similar to the fake one. So sometimes you have to take time. That's why we are telling people, even through Ask Greco, through the Vijana Tuchanuke program, we are telling people, stop, reflect, verify. Don't be in a hurry.
Okay.
Don't be in a hurry.
All right.
And fake news, misinformation is very sensational. It always, most of the time, it has a call to action that is very urgent.
Yeah.
Yes.
Right. How I do it, I think I'll just say that before we continue with the show. How I do it is, I start in my mind, right? So if I feel a certain type of emotion, I do that first thing you said. I stop first. Yeah. I felt angry or I felt very happy suddenly. No, I'm just scrolling, and then it's some news about how, let's say on politics, because it's what I follow on mostly for the show. It's the government has spent so much on this and that. It's very easy to get, angered by that quickly. Could be, yeah. So the first thing I do is stop, as you said, think about it. If this thing is affecting my moods in one way or another, I have to do fact checking before I retweet it, or before I share it, or before I come and talk about it here on the show, because it's really easy. And I want to throw us in the deep end on that, especially with journalism. Now, everyone on the digital space want to be the first to report. Yeah. Actually, almost everyone wants to be a journalist now on the digital front. The helicopter crash has happened. You have to be the first one to get the most retweets out of it. You want to be the top when they search that news later. It's not so much about you letting people know about this, rather than you being first to report it. But then now, one thing that has developed lately is that even media houses, I'm going to put us on the spot here, that you might find it's also misinformation somehow. They want to be first to report. So you're seeing it's an official account, official Twitter account of XTV, and they've already posted it, so you don't check anything, you don't cross-check anywhere. So how do we do that? How do we still ensure that people are fact-checking even the traditional media, which is slowly also getting lost in that noise?
For one, I'd like to say that traditional media is now being relegated to the position of a place where we just go to verify information. So we get the news first breaks on digital media, and then we rush to TV just to see, is this real? What I've seen here, is it for real? So that's what we use TV and radio and all these other traditional media outlets for. Now, you've mentioned the fact that everybody's rushing to be the first to report the story, and that also falls on media houses as well. Yes, that is very true, and media houses themselves have been guilty of breaking even misinformation. Look at the Davido one with K24 very recently. That's a perfect example of misinformation. They said it was an April Fool's Day prank, but going out and saying that someone has 18 million shillings worth of cocaine in their helicopter is crazy. And when it's not true. So I think, again, we have to do better also as traditional media news outlets when we're doing our when we're doing stuff. We can't just behave like ordinary citizen journalists. Now, on the point of citizen journalism and people going out on social media and breaking out news stories, I think that it's very important that we as a society also understand that, okay, maybe we're not consuming news the way that we used to, that the times have changed. So now, of course, we're going to pick up our phones, record something, and then post it. But let's be also honest when we're posting the things that we're posting. Can we make sure that people are ethical and are abiding by journalistic standards when they're posting these things? Which is a stretch, yes, but if you're going to engage in citizen journalism, you'd at least hope that someone would employ those standards when they are posting, when they are sharing, and even when they are disseminating information on their various platforms, because right now we are in a space where there's a lot of user-generated content. So people are themselves picking up their camera and recording their opinions, and be it not, a lot of the time, some influencers, you'll take their opinion as fact. whether you like it. So you have to be cognizant of the power that you as an individual possess once you become or take on that role of citizen journalist, and make sure that you're executing that role to the capacity that it deserves.
Yeah.
Yeah.
All right. And also it's getting harder as well now with citizen journalism and blue check marks happening all across social media. Before then, it was anyone with a blue check mark is someone you don't even have to fact check.
Verified.
But now you can buy it. And I'm sure there's a large chunk of the population who still trust that blue check mark.
Yeah.
So as long as someone with a a verified account says something, I take it as gospel.
Yeah.
Which means you haven't kept up with the trends in the digital space as well, which I'm sure is part of what is a way to mitigate against fake news and misinformation.
Again, on that same point, there was a study that was done by Reuters Institute of Journalism, and the study revealed that about 75% of Kenyans are not able to distinguish between whether news is fake or if it's real. Now, those are alarming numbers. So a lot of people you can be duped.
You
Fake
said 75%.
75%.
So it's 3 out of 4.
Yeah.
In this room, we're about how many people here?
Yeah.
10 or so a lot of people here who fall in that category.
People are not going to know whether it's real. And those are very scary. So that means that people are very easily going to be lied to. They're going to be disinformed, and they'll take that stuff as the truth.
Yeah.
So we have to do something has to be done.
How do we deal with our aunties while we are still there? How do you deal with my mother who sends me a message and tells me don't step out of the house? Today there are Illuminati people in Kenya. What do I do about that?
I think with that it's a very slow but sure process.
Okay.
For people to accept change, it takes time. And it's not something that you can just wake up one day and say, nah, don't listen to this and this. It's very, very steady. You have to slowly start informing them about places where they can, first of all, really, I hope that you encourage them to read the entirety of the articles that have posted that same information. If not, there's something probably wrong with what it is that you're reading. Again, I'd also like to say that, yes, there's that the elder, junior respect that you have to have when so don't come across as like abrasive when you're presenting this information. Let them know that you first of all do your due diligence and check whether that stuff is correct. If not, send them the correct. A lot of the time what I do is just send the correct link and just be like, no, this is a lie.
Look at this as well.
Look at this as well. Because sometimes I can understand it, because right now it's becoming very sophisticated, the amount of disinformation that's being propagated on social media. For instance, now we have deep fakes. So we have AI generated videos of you, Richard, saying stuff that you never said.
But it looks like me.
But it looks like you. And it's your mouth moving. But it's very, very scary. So I can understand why our aunties are having a bit of a hard time in that space. But I think if you approach it with the grace that's needed and tell them about the fact-checking organizations and do even your own digital verification, I think we'll be on a good path.
Okay. Duncan, in your experience, I see here first that KRECO, as you said, of course, people-centered governance, and especially to ensure that you're empowering citizens, the disadvantaged groups, marginalized, who the impact you can let us know of as well. Maybe we can begin there. How does fake news disproportionately affect marginalized communities? And maybe an example of where this has led to like real world harm from fake news online or elsewhere, and then you can see it manifest.
All right, maybe before I get to that, let me just chime in on something that Donna is addressing here. The whole issue of the media houses now, the traditional media that we have. I think most of it is misinformation, unlike disinformation for them. Because sometimes, most of the time, we find media wants to be sensational at some point. And so what happens, they would they would actually even post something with some headline that really doesn't. I mean, it may mislead people. I think that it's misleading.
Okay.
It's misleading information.
It could be the information, but then with some sensational.
As a journalist, you know very well there is what we call the agenda setting theory. No, the framing theory. The framing. There is how media would frame something so that it is
get reactions.
Yes, it is interpreted as something else. And I think Kenyan media is growing. We can say we are still developing, and this is one of the challenges that we have had. But now coming to what you're saying, I think it's important for us to understand the definitions when we talk about now misinformation. And we talk about disinformation. Misinformation is unintended. Disinformation is intended. Someone brings in false information intentionally. And then now we have the misinformation. So, but personally, I have seen now bridging the gap now between we, the urban population, and now going to the marginalized. There is a very huge gap. Being part of a church group, I remember recently there was some disinformation around. That there were snakes due to the flooding, there were snakes that had I think left where in Nairobi, and you know,
they are heading
a very interesting yes, a very interesting story. And somehow it landed in our church group, WhatsApp group. And you know, okay, the good thing is, let me say this on a very light note, it brings our parents to a point whereby they pray a lot. But now you see they are praying without proper information.
They are praying for
they would pray for their sons, you know, in Nairobi, as we are, to be safe from the snakes. And I actually saw the comments. Oh, God help us. God help your people. You know, this is now what we have. And now sometimes that could be okay. It's something around our social, you know, the things we interact with daily. But do you know why we have even violence when it comes to, you know, politics in Kenya is a very emotive issue. And you can imagine when for instance, in the last year, I mean the last election, and actually KRECO published a document which we call 295 days. It's a vignette on political misinformation and disinformation, electoral misinformation and disinformation. And we were checking on we were actually tracking the occurrences of misinformation and disinformation within the whole electoral process. And we actually did a vignette on the same. So I know our viewers can check on our website at okenya.org. It's on our resources tab. So you realize when we have we are in such a period, and we have these masterminds of, you know, controversies, conspiracies, you know, and all that, propagating such disinformation. You see how it sometimes, and that's why you see when it comes to politics, it doesn't when violence, political violence in Kenya, it doesn't only happen in the urban areas, even in the rural areas, because it's something that really affects. So there is now the bridging the gap. That is, you know, someone said when, for instance, Richard, I published something forth about you. They usually say, we always encourage people that don't respond to that information. What you're supposed to do is post the correct information to counter that. So when you are faced by false information, you counter with correct information. That's why we are actually, as KRECO, and also having ambassadors like Donna in place on board, we are trying to advocate for people, young people, to become ambassadors of correct information. It's an issue that requires our concerted efforts. I mean, you have a responsibility as a young person to stop, reflect, and verify, so that when you see something that's been posted, and you know very well this one is moving in circles within the marginalized communities and all that, and even specifically now our parents who are all from a whole different generation, are we ready to make sure that before it goes too far, we post the correct information to them? I mean, the best way to deal with the best way to deal with the poison. Exactly. So this is I mean, fake news doesn't have any other solution. It's just you always fight fake news with correct information. And we all need to become ambassadors as young people. Depending with, I mean, from wherever you stand. What
is the role of digital literacy in all this? how do we ensure that digital literacy for the youth is also, as you said, bridging that gap between the urban and the marginalized communities? What kind of digital literacy efforts can we do in terms of anti-misinformation?
Yes, you realize something, Richard, that when we talk about young people, even the people who are we can say very educated, in fact, someone said that the world is also waiting to see what is the long-term effect of this digitization, because it's something, and that's why even when we say that the youth are the digital natives, the current generation, we are the digital natives. We are the people who have first interacted with this whole wave of digitization.
Yeah.
Nobody really knows what is the long-term effect of this.
Even the leaders of these AI companies themselves say, they are waiting to see what happens. Yeah.
Because it has revolutionized so much, including how we study, how we do things, and all that. I mean, you even find phones that have what we call crying baby detector.
Yeah.
So if a baby cries, it can call a particular number. So you have your baby sleep, leave your phone there, and have that phone monitor. If the baby cries, then it will call, or it makes something to another number. So we are yet to understand that. But when now we talk about digital literacy, this is when we bring young people, and thanks to such programs as KRECO is doing, bringing young people on board and telling them, you know what, this is information. We are in a digital age. How do you interact with information?
Okay.
But let me say something, Richard. When we talk about curbing misinformation and disinformation, it's something that every young person listening to us has to be very intentional about.
Okay.
Because it might be you, or it might be someone close to you, or even someone. I mean, it's something you need to be very intentional.
Not
so when you talk
passive about it, only when it affects you.
Yes. So we have to be very intentional as young people into getting and enrolling into programs that help us grow our digital literacy. Is it about fact checking? Is it about debunking fake news? Is it about learning about the consequences of fake news? And because most of us don't like to read, it's up to us to be very intentional about reading these things. I know they nowadays is about Generation Z every now and then, but we have to read. We have to enroll into programs. We have to learn what are these fact-checking tools. So it's about intention.
Okay.
It's about intention. That's why even when we address this whole issue, we are seeking to. It's not much of quantitative, but qualitative. A change of mind. A change of mind whereby young people realize that it's my responsibility to learn how to interact with digital platforms.
Yeah.
Yes.
It's going to be really ironical where the digital natives are the ones most affected by these platforms. I mean, as you mentioned, an example of you clicking on a link, applying for a job, and I'm sure a bunch of people also do not even verify the details of the link itself. I've been in situations where the biggest fact checking someone gives to me is, I saw it on a TikTok. This TikTok said you shouldn't. This TikTok said you shouldn't drink so much water. I'm like, who is that? Who is that TikTok person? Yeah, so that is also quite ironical. But as you said, it's important to be very intentional about it, not just passively interacting, saying, I'm Gen Z, mimi ndio mtu wa digital, nini. And then, as you said, sometimes even when a website is mirroring another website, what they're collecting really is personal information. Maybe your banking details, your passwords, and whatnot. Right, now, just a final one from you, which is a tricky one. Given sometimes people who are intentionally spreading fake information are our politicians, or like our leaders, are like the president who will go somewhere and say the dollar to the shilling is at 100 shillings, and then people would clap because they are in a rural area, maybe they do not have that kind of information. what do I do about those people? Or what should those people do? Because that's someone you can't convince otherwise, because they know the president is the truth. What does Richard know? I mean, he's not the president. So how do I convince these people to also fact check the president, to fact check our leaders in a way that we're not just giving others a pass, including pastors. Yeah, I'm being informed by my producer that including pastors, you're in church and he preaches the truth from the Bible, but then adds in a bit of extra information that isn't true. So what do we do with those figures of authority? Actually, maybe if I can group them as that.
Richard, I think one of the biggest problems that we have had, because now you touched on a very, 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 very close matter to Kreko, governance. What happens with what has been the biggest problem, especially in our country, Kenya, is sycophancy. And sometimes sycophancy, we have seen something happened, something that has happened even recently. A very popular blogger being turned real quick. We can't believe. Was a very such an attacker to the government. I mean, and I know even we as civil society organizations, at some point you look at some of these people and you feel these are the people who are actually fighting for human rights. For proper governance. As Kreko, we always talk about pro-people governance. That is always what we keep pushing for. And sycophancy is so bad because what it does is that it makes the governance to be sort of materialistic. Sometimes it's about money, it's about what you get from it, to even spread fake news. We have seen the government, in the previous government, tried to have there's something we are calling GOK delivers. Try and show the projects because sometimes there's an issue around, this government is doing nothing. So for Kenya Kwanza government, we are still
no, they have HNIB.
HNIB. All right.
National Intelligence.
Don't go there. Don't go there.
All right.
So, but now this one brings in two issues. Even as we talk about that, one, it brings the idea what we call digital governance, and now what we call online activism. And this is what we are calling our young people into. When we talk about political misinformation, disinformation, we are calling young people into online activism. So when I say that is, do we hold these leaders accountable? But anyway, we have seen these recently. We find, for instance, let me just give an example because it's a matter of national importance.
Yes. Name names.
We
you have to.
We have had clips recently of the president saying these people don't know the kind of damage that they are doing, but by daily taxes, adding taxes to Kenyans on a daily basis. That was during the campaign trails and all that. That's what he said. So, but there's a change of tune. Yes, he says everyone has to pay taxes, and quite a lot is happening. So, and you find now people bringing up these clips and calling them out. This is what you said before. This is what you said before. This is now what you are saying. So we want to know what is your stand. So, and now when we talk about digital governance, is when now we come out as young people and call our leaders to order and tell them, be responsible, keep your word. Keep your word. Don't tell us that this is what the government is doing and it's exactly something different. So we see an issue of maybe, for instance, the dollar and all that. And when you talk to people within the financial, the whole sector, they will tell you a different perspective around why the dollar is behaving the way it's behaving. So that's why I mentioned Richard, and I keep mentioning the same. Let me just mention something but I know we'll get there. When we talk about some of the legislations that exist, Computer Misuse and Cyber Crimes Act and all that, there's something they don't address. You realize that it may not address how specifically to deal with misinformation, disinformation, and fake news. I mean, it's just a punishment. It's just a document to punish people, offenders. For instance, offenders. You read section 22 on publication of false news. I mean, false information and all that. Now it will talk about a fine and also an imprisonment of this, but it really doesn't address me as Duncan seated in my house, and I find that, the government will deal with this information so long as it's maybe a threat to national security and all that. But what about me when it is a threat to my reputation, when it is a threat to my, to my even safety, to my career? How do I deal with that? Do I still go again to Section 22? No. And that is why now we are talking, even as Greco, and through this the Vijana Tuchanuke program, we are talking about self-regulation. Self-regulation. Okay. That's the key. Okay. Self-regulation. That's why we are calling people to be intentional again. On about curbing misinformation and disinformation.
Okay.
Yes.
Let me come to Donna. Ninaambiwa tutaongea hapa hadi 12. So let me try and also get everything in order so we tackle as much as possible in the shortest time possible. It's 9 in the morning, so we have around 3 minutes max for us to finish this conversation. Donna, on a personal level, as you said, unajua reputation yangu is also a very important thing. Other than me following that piece of information with the actual information. So they said I divorced my wife last week, but I didn't. Or there's a video of me fighting somewhere, but then it isn't me. Apart from maybe me coming to defend myself, and sometimes it is counterintuitive. I'll go defend myself kwa meona sasa najitetea. Sasa hizi ndo anaweza ongea. Hiyo time hakuwa ongea. Apart from that, and maybe the Computer Misuse and Cyber Crimes Act, are there other ways I can, safeguard myself from the effects? Even pornography, there's, the revenge porn. Revenge porn, which is also a crime on its own, and also spread of information that shouldn't be there in the public domain. How do I deal with these things to have peace of mind such that I'm not just always worried notification ikitokea ni shapani? There's actually this one time I woke up to like a bunch of notifications, and given what I know about the time that you trend, most likely the first time it's something really bad. So I was in a panic mode, only to find there was it wasn't that bad. How do I ensure I have a peace of mind?
I think the first thing when you are the victim of disinformation is for you to not react immediately. A lot of the time people start with the emotions take center stage, and then you don't act rationally. What you do is, oh no, I didn't say that, and then you look even more guilty, you know? So I think the first thing that you need to do, which Greco also really advises, is for you to stop just for a second. Think about it. Like, internalize this information. You understand, where has it come from? Who do you think will be most affected by this piece of information? Of course, after yourself, there are other people who look up to you and other people who are literally depending on you. So look at those people who are going to be affected by this information. Then once you've done that, now you can come up with a strategic plan on how to respond to this attack. Sometimes some of them don't even need responses. You know what I mean? Someone is slandered. It doesn't really, the campaign is not doing too much. Just there's no need for you to full throttle, guns blazing type thing. Sometimes they don't need a response. But for other ones, like there's some really serious smear campaigns that happen sometimes at USIU during political season. This season. Okay. You guys ready for the V8s? Anyway. So those ones need responses. Okay. And sometimes you can't respond on your own. You'll need a whole team to back you for that one. You'll need a whole PR campaign team and whatnot. People who can actually genuinely advise you on what to do. Because sometimes a video in itself does not suffice. Like you coming out to the public saying, guys, that's not me. But a lot of the time that also helps clear the air. That was not me. I wasn't even there at that time. That sort of thing. I think that can also help. But again, when it comes to this whole misinformation, disinformation thing, again, it's very important that us as the youth, when we're absorbing this information that we're getting on, we become digital media literate. That's the thing. So what we need to be doing is talking about join workshops and educate ourselves on this specific matter. And that's what Greco is doing right now. There's a digital fellowship that they're holding for the youth, where they're taking taking on people from students from across the country, and they're bringing them there to educate us, to sensitize us on this specific matter, disinformation, misinformation, all of that stuff. So if you're part of that and you want to stop getting duped, join us. Apply today.
Right.
Yeah.
All right. I'm going to read a few comments here, and then I'll come back to Duncan first to let us know how people can use what we already have in terms of the Cybercrimes Act of 2018 and the Election Offences Act. I mean, they might be lacking. They have maybe limitations here and there, but also within what is already available, how can we use that as we wait on to leveraging more? And then I think I'll get back to you as well to let us know of other fact-checking, maybe just a reminder as well on where people can go fact-check when they see a bit of information. I also provide a few of those places where you can reverse check the image. You find an image on Twitter, there's places you can actually go and they let you know of the original source of that piece of information you've received, whether it's a video or an image, and then maybe you can close it up with trends that you see in the future in terms of that information dissemination and how we can prepare ourselves for the future. AI, this year at the very end, OpenAI is promising to come out with a very interesting tool called Sora. Those who have interacted with it so far can tell you you will completely not tell it isn't AI generated. Just a short prompt, so fast, and that's like the first generation of this tool, which means once it's developed a bit more, it's going to be even harder in 5 years time when we're going to, or in a few years time, we're in an election period. It's going to be really difficult to tell what's real and what's not. So you can give us that information. But in the meantime, let's see who is tuning into the show and what they're saying about you guys, or if they have any comments that we can take a note of. Byron Onduru, who is the CEO of Dulo Attires, amesema you're looking great, bro. Thanks for trusting our work. Yes, thank you for trusting me with your work as well. You're meant for the screens. Asante sana. Dan Njenga anasema Donna, and then that's it.
Thank you.
That's it. Dan Njenga, asante for tuning into the show. Let us know where you're tuning into from. Gathoni Ngari, the show is lit with 2 fire emojis. I'm loving it. Thank you very much, Gathoni. Cynthia Auma, good morning from this end. So talented, keep it burning. Thanks for the good teachings. That's from our guests. Jimmy Wairimu, the show is lit. Justin Akinyi, looking good as always. Richard, good topic today. Asante sana, Justin. Dan Njenga, again, I'm proud of you, Donna. Margaret Wanjiru, Duncan, representing. Fred Blessed, proud, saying Mr. Duncan, wisdom always flowing. Great information at Duncan. This is from Tabitha Mathu. Asante sana for guys who are continue to check in on the live stream. Tuambie pia, where you're watching from. As we close up, guys, oh wow, it's 9:07 in the morning. Let's just handle that those 2 acts, and then you tell us of the sides of fact checking. Yeah, let's begin with you, Duncan.
All right, so going through for instance, the Computer Misuse and Cybercrimes Act of 2018, it talks about a person who intentionally publishes false information, but just reading it, but paraphrasing it, misleading or fictitious data, or misinforms with the intent that the data be considered or acted upon as authentic, which actually is what they always do. But of course, in section 22(2), it says that pursuant to Article 24 of the Constitution, that talks about the limitation of rights and fundamental freedoms. The freedom of expression under Article 33 of the Constitution shall be limited in respect to the intentional publication of false, misleading, or fictitious data or misinformation that is likely, 1, to propagate or incite persons to violence, constitutes hate speech, and or advocates hatred, or negatively affects the rights or reputations of others. Okay. So in as much as Article 33 of the Constitution talks about the freedom of expression, definitely there is a limitation to that, to this right. And the limitation is, in as much as you are exercising your freedom of expression, there is the aspect of accountability. And this is what we want to see, even as we talk about when we talk about when we talk about digital democracy anyway, as a whole, we want to see accountability, because when we talk about the digital democracy, talking about maybe the future, for instance, it's very likely that these campaigns that we have people on top of cars and all that might come to an end.
They'll happen on top of accounts.
They'll be happening on pinned tweets and
and Insta stories.
And so we're talking about accountability, because what has happened, let us be honest, it's always good to have an honest conversation when we talk about matters governance, and specifically digital governance. In Kenya, people always have a way of escaping the law, especially when you are in positions of leadership. And I remember one instance. Let me give an example. One instance, the former president, the fourth president, I will do that real quick. The former president, there was a time they had some sort of misunderstanding and some conflict with one member of parliament, because he had been called some names.
You remember? Yes, I remember.
So, but going back to the clip, you realize this gentleman was saying, "Nimesema yeye ni." He would say.
He didn't say.
And then the public says, you can't sue the mob. You can't sue the mob. And so when they go to court and all that, it's a court session and all that.
Like I didn't say anything.
Yes, I didn't say anything. You find lawyers poking holes into the law. And you find them also, looking for some of the things that have not been addressed.
So that's how it falls short.
Yes.
Okay, I see it.
That's how it falls short. And also now, again, it does not really deal with misinformation and disinformation at the level of, for instance, when you talk about the marginalized communities. If, for instance, I spoil the reputation of someone, I take the reputation of someone back in my village, there's nothing much they can do apart from maybe waiting for me somewhere at the corner and they deal with me.
And deal with you perpendicularly.
But the harm that I have caused is not at the street, at that corner. The harm is on the digital space.
Yes.
And that is why we find nowadays, I can even pick something from you, make it a meme and misuse it. We have had people using clips into their DJ drops and all that. Yeah, sometimes it wasn't fun. Maybe someone was a victim somewhere, they said a word. I remember during Kibaki time, and there was floods.
There was this lady, yes, I remember
who was saying,
Serikali's idea.
And it was used in, it was even made, a bit was made out of it. And the lady was really, was a victim. She was a victim. She was suffering. So how do you deal with that? It's not addressed in the Act. It's not.
So there's need for more to be done.
Yes, there's need for more. And that is why before that, because we know sometimes having some of these things amended, and it's a whole process. That's why we come in as Greco to tell people there's need for self-regulation in the meantime.
All right.
Yes.
Asante sana. I'd like you to take like 10 or 20 seconds to talk about this Digital Democracy Fellowship. I'm sure this is going to be a very good one for the youth, also to get into digital democracy and know how can they apply, and everything that is all around there, and then you can give us your final remark generally on misinformation, disinformation, and fake news. Yes.
All right. So we have called young people, passionate young people. Actually, that's what we are saying passionate young people, because our intention is to get ambassadors who are going to help us deal with this menace, because it's a menace. So calling up journalists who are working around the digital space, activists. We know we have activists who have, some of them are even faceless, but we know they speak online. We also calling upon content creators and also students, because we believe students, these people we are targeting are the greatest propagators of this information. So we are calling upon them to join the Digital Democracy Fellowship. We are calling it DDF. That's how we are calling it. The Digital Democracy Fellowship is a program that is going for 6 months with trainings, and actually culminating with an online, with a community project that you're supposed to do. And it will be a very, very good opportunity for everyone who is passionate about digital democracy to come come in and also be a young ambassador for misinformation. I mean, to counter misinformation and disinformation.
Okay.
So the advertisement is out, and
where can they apply?
It's on our website. When you go to our website, opportunities tab, you find that krekokenya.org. So for the avoidance of doubt, so that nobody is duped. Nobody is duped with some kind of another fellowship elsewhere. Please make sure you go to our socials at Kreko Kenya on X, Kreko -Kenya on Facebook, also on Instagram at Kreko_Kenya. You are able to go and find this advertisement there. Go to our website, apply, and if you qualify, you get yourself into that point where you join the fellowship.
All right.
And it's very sustainable. Moving on, it's cohort 1 actually. So we are
expecting to do some more after.
Yes, it's gloves off. We are ready to fight misinformation and disinformation.
Asante sana.
Thank you so much.
Time is not on our side at all. Thank you very much, Duncan Maigwa, the Strategic Communications Officer at Constitution and Reform Education Consortium. As you know, Donna also handles that sites where you can check, information, fact check. Kreko is one of them. Go to Kreko. If you feel like you didn't really get that information, email them. Or Lize, is this real or not? I'm sure they'll definitely help you. But most importantly, check out that opportunities tab at krekokenya.org. The opportunities tab there, you'll find that digital democracy fellowship and do the application. Real quick.
About the site? Okay.
Yes.
You can use BBC Reality Check. It's a team of dedicated guys that are trying to combat misinformation. So they really debunk things. So a lot of the time they have really good audience engagement with people on social media. So they will literally, if you ask a question, they will respond to you in the comment section. Again, you can use factcheck.org. They're also a really good group if you want to check if whatever it is that you are feeling is a bit off. You can check it on that website. And then there's PolitiFact. Now that one is strictly politics. So just check stuff there. If you're hearing that Ruto is in your area and he's on a state visit, you can find out there.
Okay. There's also Reuters Fact Check, which is by Reuters, we know all the news agency that is international. So you can check that, especially for information that's coming outside of the of this republic. Just as we say goodbye, anyone you'd like to say goodbye to, and then we can or any shout outs to Kreko if I take the break.
Okay, you go first.
Hi mom, hi dad, hi Dan.
All right. Okay, thank you very much.
Let me also acknowledge my executive director, Mr. Joshua Changwony, who has been an inspiration to Kreko and always encouraging us to keep on pushing for pro-people governance. And pro-people governance is also engaging people into proper proper interaction with information. And also to appreciate the Embassy of Finland, which is also playing a very pivotal role in the project Vijana Tuchanuke. And yes, we are set. And I know this is a conversation we cannot exhaust today.
We can't.
Thank you so much, Richard. I appreciate you for also hosting us.
Yes, thank you for coming through. I'm hoping we can continue this conversation, of course. With more people from Kreko. All right, asante sana. That is Donna, the USIU Africa Journalist of the Year, and also Duncan Maigwa, Strategic Communications Officer at Kreko, Constitution and Reform Education Consortium. We're going to handle more news coming up in the newspaper review section with Nick Mwadime Mwangi and Fendo Godwin. They're here also to handle what kind of information we are receiving from our leaders, especially in the political space. That's the discourse that is coming up. But if you have any more questions from what we just discussed, please continue forwarding them. We are still in touch. We'll handle it even off air. Just to say a few comments before we go for that break. Brian Sengeli amesema great discussions chaps. Asante sana Brian. Rose Morara Is that your sister?
That's my mom.
Oh, that's your mom. Oh, hi, mom.
Hi, mom.
Very educative information for my generation. Duncan featuring Donna. Yeah. The collab. Keep the fire burning. Peter Gitu anasema the show is much interesting. Edgar Ndege anasema pertinent topic on the table. Edgar Ndege. Daktari, asante for tuning into the show. Post-medical interns KE.
Yay, okay.
Professor George Morara Ogendi. That's your dad?
That's my dad.
Oh, God. When I grow up, I want to be your parents. Misinformation and disinformation is a very timely and relevant topic affecting our country. The KU host and the guest team has done a fantastic job. Asante sana. And keep it up. Donna, Richard, and Duncan. Asante sana. I'll be fact-checking those accounts.
Thanks, Dad.
So it's actually your dad. Thank you guys for creating time for us here.
Thank you.
Biashara Tuesday. Thank you as well. Biashara Tuesday takes a very short break. I'll be back with the guests that I said, so don't go too far. Gazeti ni 100 saizi. I told you to get it before it goes off, but yeah, anyway, we'll handle it. Don't go too far.
Access to knowledge, solution to unanswered questions.
Guidelines to pursuing your rights and repossessing your property, intellectual or material.
This and more only on Law Matters.
Tunachimba hadi mizizi kukuletea yanayojiri.
So mimi naomba tu serikali yetu ya Mungu, jibarikiwe na Mungu, iweze kuteremsha bei ya mafuta.
Yanayokukumba tuna maizi, tunakutetea sisiri. Ukweli ni speciali tukikupambia makala ya mwanamke mwake. Utasema hupendi mizizi ya habari. Nami Caroline. Tunachimba hadi mizizi kukuletea yanayojiri.
So mimi naomba tu serikali yetu ya Mungu, jibarikiwe na Mungu, iweze kuteremsha bei ya mafuta.
Yanayokukumba tuna maizi, tunakutetea sisiri. Ukweli ni speciali tukikupambia makala ya mwanamke mwake. Utasema hupendi mizizi ya habari. Nami Caroline.
Are you an aspiring media practitioner, a graduate, or you just want to advance your skills in television production? Then welcome to Kenyatta University, where education meets innovation. KUTV, the premier university television station in Kenya, is now offering short courses in TV studio, field technical operations, and video editing. Through these courses, you will acquire hands-on skills on camera operations, media production, lighting techniques, audiovisual editing, and sound and visual control, and how to operate key equipment in modern TV control room. Enroll today at KUTV and discover your full potential in cutting-edge TV broadcasting. Graduates of these courses will receive professional certificates. For more information, visit our offices at KUTV Studios or call us on 020-870-4252 or 020-870-4255 or SMS us on 0739-110-544. KUTV, a new experience.
hospital corridors. We bring you experts to discuss issues affecting your health, from diet to mental health. The familiar and the ignored are both put into perspective. We then dive into the environment and look at the effects of climate change and its solutions. Join me, Mutegi K. Martin, every Friday at 9 p.m. as we learn on how to better our health while taking care of our environment. Only on KUTV.
What are some of the ways through which you can develop these skills so that you are comfortably fitting into the job?
You have to put yourself in positions where you are uncomfortable. Uncomfortable in the sense that you're not clear about what to do.
Because I used to work a corporate job before. So when I left, I happened to visit someone's farm around this area.
So this project is called the Security Breach Detect and Readiness Familiarize. It is meant to be used to detect, detonate explosives.
We'll tackle all the tough issues, discuss all the weird moments, and hopefully share a few laughs along the way.
He was there. He was there. Nick Mwadime was there. That's what we are saying. He was there, and we'll let you know where he was at. Welcome to this conversation on the newspaper review section. We have the Standard with us hapa. Kwa sababu gazeti ya Business Daily imepanda bei. I keep telling you guys, do this before it goes up. Business Daily is now going for 100 Kenyan shillings. Business Daily at 100 Kenyan shillings. But the Standard is still at 60 bob for now, before the finance bill ipandishwe. Alafu, you will know what's real and what's not. But let's get to see what our panelists here have to say. The Standard that I have, the headline says Gachagua allies to oppose Ruto tax proposals. The Mount Kenya MPs say their first rebellious act against the president will be to amend the finance bill that the government intends to use to collect taxes that will fund its operation. And there's there a quote from Gathoni wa Mushomba, who says the tax on bread proposal is a decoy and they will discard it after hue and cry, but is aimed at diverting attention. The Business Daily's headline, the most expensive paper of the day, says real wages shrink for the fourth consecutive year. Yani ile pesa ambayo watu wanapata kwa mfukoni ina shrink, and this is the fourth year in a row. Inflation is wiping out around 2% of the pay rise in 2023, and now for this year the slump is around 4.1%. And putting in the fact that there's a recession that's doing press ups, it means the amount or what your money was affording you 4 years ago, even if you didn't shrink the amount, it still can't afford you the same. It has shrunk either way. So that's important for you to think about as you get into the conversation. Fendo, welcome to the show. And Nick, welcome to the show. Introduce yourselves, and then we can get to dissect what is here.
Yes, my name is Fendo Godwin, a political analyst and governance expert. Yeah, I'm readily here to analyze what has happened. Over the weekend, a lot happened. We saw the Limuru 3 that happened. It has brought a lot of outrage, a lot of speaks in the public domain. And we have keenly analyzed and looked at it in a deeper perspective, and we are here to analyze it in a depth manner.
Welcome back.
Thank you very much.
Welcome to the show.
Thank you so much, Richard. It's an amazing morning to be back again, because I think I've been quite away from some time because of Limuru 3. But let me say good morning to my people in Moranga. There's this amazing lady called Nancy Mihaki wa Mukuna, all the way from Kangema constituency. Very good people. And I'm telling the people of Kangema, tujipange. The ladies ameanza kujipanga, na I can see a bright future. But in that regards, because the mountain is finally roaring, and I know people are very curious on what's up for Limuru 3. And I will tell you, Richard, I told you here before that the people of the mountain are getting angrier, are getting tired by one man called President William Samoei Ruto.
thought you were friends.
And I told you, Richard, some other day here, and recently you've seen in Kirinyaga, the teachers are on strike.
Yes.
We started with the health. Now the teachers.
Yes.
Now the people are going on the road.
Right, with the finance bill.
You understand? And finance bill, I told you, these people, they just do a lot of decoy. I want to agree with the MP Githenguri, Gadoni wa Mushomba. They're just doing a lot of distraction so that we don't talk about what really happened in Limuru 3. For the first time in history, our people walked from all corners of the mountain to gather and talk about the issues. People are tired.
Okay.
People are hungry. People are angry. We need to talk.
Okay. There are very many statements, and they have talked. I see here Embakasi North MP. I see Wamushomba said something there. I also see, other leaders. And the question is, the biggest thing in page 2 of the Standard is against the finance bill proposals. So my question is it about the finance bill, or is it about realigning the mountain, or is it all timely at the same time? But there are no coincidences.
Well, Richard, I will tell you. If you check clearly on the population GDP, how many people consume bread?
How many?
It's quote unquote. It's the elites.
Okay.
The elites like me and you, in quotes, because we will want to live a luxurious life of eating bread from Monday to Monday. The issue about 6.2% on motor vehicles. How many people, how many mama mboga na vijana boda boda can afford cars? And you see, Richard, the conversation is really spiraling around that middle class level. But we want the conversation to go below to mama mboga, so that we feel the pain, so that on 2027, this man has to go. The conversation right now is at middle class.
Okay.
Mama mboga cannot feel enough of the pain. We want it to go so that they realize United Democratic Alliance is against the people.
They say we'll get to 22% of taxes by the end of the term.
It is very sad that
will that at that point we'll have enough pain.
President William Ruto is using our sons. We saw Kimani Kuria. He could not clearly explain, a whole chairman of finance, what these additional taxes are for. We saw the majority leader, Kimani Ichung'wah, defending strongly. We saw Member of Parliament Kiharu Ndindi Nyoro. And I'm telling our people, let us not forget this gentleman.
Okay.
The people of Kiharu, the people of Molo, and the people of Kikuyu. Let us not forget what they are doing to us.
Okay. Fendo, I'm going to ask you this question because I don't want to ask it to Nick. My question is, if I was President William Ruto going to the Mount Kenya region tomorrow, I'd tell them something that's opposite to what Nick has said. I'd say, I have given your sons the chance to lead this country. I've put them as a budget committee chairperson. I've put them on the top positions. I've given them CDF now, even CS here and there, Treasury, CS, Kuria. I mean, the mountain is leading the country. What is the need to, again, come together? We are already in power.
Yes, I think you've answered what exactly Osoro said while in a public rally. And Osoro said that we have given you all these people, we've given you all this position, you hold key positions in parliament, you hold key position in these committees. And I like to begin with a quote and say that people that elect corrupt politicians and imposters and thieves and murderers are not victims of this. They are accomplices.
Okay.
When Mwadime points his finger vigorously at those people and warning them that they will not want to see them on the ballot in 2027, the four fingers are pointing back at him. I mean, the four fingers are pointing back at him as a voter.
The people who delivered Ruto to the president.
So these people are not victims. These people are accomplices to this bad leadership that we have.
And that's why I'm asking, is it a coincidence or is it just timely?
So we might have a good president in Kenya. We might have a good president in Kenya who really want to see good for this country. But there is no need of electing a good president with bad members of parliament. Remember, anything that a president say will go to parliament to be passed. It will be debated on the parliament. All these things that have been said, they'll find their way into the floor of the house. Who is expected to vote for those things and pass those bills? These are our members of parliaments who will vote it. If they say that these things are punitive, there are draconian laws being imposed on Kenyans, they will save us. But if as a citizen we elect a good president with bad players in parliament who cannot speak, then we are in to suffer, and we will suffer a lot. If you read history and see how Kiraitu Murungi were fighting for the tea farmers in those days when they were still youth, when Martha Karua was going to parliament to debate issues against James Orengo, you will know what leadership is. But if you have started watching parliament sessions the other day, you might think that the president is the problem, but the real problem is the people we elect there to represent. Ruto is one person who cannot listen to all the 52 people. We will have to elect members of parliament who will go there to represent our views. So if Kimani Ichung'wah is going there to say that this bill is good, it is not Kimani Ichung'wah who is saying that, but it's us, the voters, who delegated our powers to him. This brings us to a key point that we must look at the members of parliament that we are going to elect to represent us. This is like a football team, Barcelona, Manchester, or even Arsenal. We might love the team, we might love the coach, but the people who are going to represent the team at the football pitch matter a lot. We cannot have a good coach and bad players and then all the blame goes to the coach. We must blame the players and we must blame the accomplices who vote these people in.
Right. Before Nick chimes in, just to maybe get one other remark from you, then how do we deal with a bad coach? Given from the finance bill of 2023, we saw the housing levy was included there. There was a lot of public discourse. It went to the courts, but somehow still the president finds a way to implement it. If we are speaking CASs, there are unconstitutional court proceedings. It seems he doesn't really care what you guys are up to. So will it mean that if we had good parliamentarians either way, the president will have his way? And how can we deal with that?
So what now brings to that is now the Limuru 3, which I'm full support of it. Such meetings should be held to keep pressure on the president, remind him on what he was elected to do. The president had a clear manifestos to the Kenyan, and as it seems, it's like the president has taken this manifesto, put it on a shelf, and brought another manifesto which was not presented to the Kenyans. Limuru 3 is something that I believe is going to bear fruits. This is not the first Limuru that we have had. We had Limuru 1 that bore fruits, and Limuru 1, if you read history and saw in the newspapers, or research about that Limuru 1, it was about Mwai Kibaki when he was called to a meeting in the Limuru 1 and told that now you need to form a government and you need to organize yourself or will be organized. Usipojipanga, utapangwa. And hence the formation of NAK Kenya. And it bore fruits where Uhuru Kenyatta, Mwai Kibaki became the president. The second one was Uhuru Kenyatta when Michuki, was it Michuki? I think Michuki called for this meeting, and they told Uhuru Kenyatta, now we need to organize ourselves as a community or as a region to see our interests are being protected. And they endorsed Uhuru Kenyatta as the kingpin, and they said anybody who will want to talk to Kikuyu, you must pass through Uhuru Kenyatta. And that's how the Limuru 2 bore fruit. The Limuru 3 had 3 main issues that were to be addressed, and Madime happened to be one of the planning committees, and we hope it will materialize. Because the first one is to address the high cost of living, they did it. The second one was to talk about the punitive taxations that are happening and that are being posed to the Kenyans. Remember, the Mount Kenya cannot be swept under the floor because it has the highest members of parliament. And if they decide to put Kenya in the right direction and lead the Kenya in the right direction, eventually. Then, they will eventually do. So that one was about the higher taxation that are being imposed on the Kenyan. The next one is about having a spokesperson, the kingpin, or rather a person who will give directions to the Mount Kenya region. The underdog, information we have is that they want to impose back Uhuru Kenyatta as the leaders, because the mountain is slowly losing direction, and somebody else, who is, I suspect is William Ruto, using proxies, is now the de facto spokesperson of the Kikuyu nation, which is misleading this rich community that boast of higher GDP contribution to the country, boast of higher votes, boast of a lot of things. So we need to get directions. And we are saying that other communities, other regions like Western should hold these meetings, to see that the interests of the people are being held. Because the president, as you've just said, he doesn't listen to demonstration, he doesn't listen to the courts. So we must pressurize him as a nation, as regions, to just make sure that we just get that little that we need.
Right. Nick, is this the face of Mount Kenya now that I see in front of the Standard?
Before I get to whatever you're asking me, Richard, let me respond a little bit to what my friend is saying. You know, UDA is in a very tough situation. Having a party leader who micromanages everything can be very challenging. And my good friend says I'm blaming the MPs. But what he does not know that Ruto is not a democratic kind of person. I don't want to say the opposite.
Non-democratic.
Yes. Because you could clearly see Kimani Kuria having a hard time to explain the issue of Finance Bill 2024. What does it mean? He has received orders from the executive to do what? To come to parliament. Because the main mandate of MPs is to do what? To pass laws. The executive implement the laws.
Right. Not to defend the decisions of the executive.
You understand?
Yes.
However, let us really be practical, Richard.
Yeah.
The Senate and the National Assembly are made of numbers, are made of majority and minority. Decisions are made by voting. That is politics. And since the party leader of UDA realized this from day one, he's been pushing laws. Right now, nobody's talking about the 1.5 tax that he shoved on our throat.
On the housing levy.
Where did the bill come from? From the executive. The same bill is coming from the executive, not from parliament. Let us really be practical. If I'm in to support whatever my good friend is saying, then MPs who are in the majority should join us in the minority.
Okay.
Because today you can see here, MPs are saying, we shall oppose.
Right.
Coming back to what you're asking me, we shall oppose Ruto tax. Because they realize our son, Rigathi Gachagua, he's being sidelined. And who's doing the sidelinement? His boss. And, you know, my party leader, Uhuru Muigai wa Kenyatta, he saw this and he warned our people. He said that this man is a con man. That he will campaign on the basis of fake promises, on the basis of lies, and on the basis of what? Infidelity.
Oh, wow. Okay. That's
now
even infidelity to the nation.
Yes.
Yeah.
And you see,
OKENYE, I like to
probably let me just finish. I allowed you to speak. Let me finish because you'll do a rebounder.
Please go ahead.
He's doing the same thing in the Western region. He tried it, as my good friend is saying. He tried it to be a de facto spokesperson. But we, the people of the mountain, we know who's our spokesperson. Uhuru Muigai wa Kenyatta. We are still saying he's our spokesperson because we believe in one thing that we believe on is a whole leadership process, because we call him Mudhamaki, and he's holding Muthegi. He has not given it to anybody. So nobody, including Gachagua, is the face of the mountain. Let us go to the Western region, Richard. Today we are having Natembeya fighting Mudavadi and Wetangula. Day in, day night. Why? Because Ruto, by de facto, wants to do what? To be the spokesperson of the lawyers. So that come 2027, he has the votes of the lawyers. Let us go to Homa Bay and Migori. He's fighting ODM day in, day out, so that he can become the spokesperson of who? The Nyanza. But he has forgotten the real mandate that we are supposed to talk about. 1.5% tax.
Right.
The 2023 finance. We are not even rested.
We have not even healed from the finance bill of
Richard,
last year.
Our kids are going to school, right?
Yeah.
It's still raining, Richard. Right. Schools have been destroyed. Teachers are on the street. There's still no good healthcare systems, Richard. We are here talking about politics. How sad state is it? You see, I said it before here, without any fear of contradiction, Richard. The issues of laws and county government, we should empower our county government in a way that even as our president decides to play politics, the day-to-day basis of our people, the basic needs, health, education, homes, are not messed around with.
Yeah. Okay. Fendo, you had something to say in there before I ask you a question I have. What did you have to say about
I want to give a rebounder and just remind him that the narrative that somebody is being sidelined is lost and should not find a way in such a platform that has serious scholars.
I was going to ask, isn't this the same script that was there with Uhuru and Ruto?
Yes, he played that for the
one who has been asked
for 5 years. For 5 years, for 5 years he played a de facto opposition leader.
I want to answer it. I want to give a rebounder.
Go ahead.
So what I want to say that the person that you are saying that has been sidelined, his offices has been awarded 1.2 billion shillings. You know, 1.2 billion shillings. That amount of money has not even been allocated to the victims of floods.
Right.
And this has single-handedly gone to the person who is claiming that is being sidelined. You are also saying that the deputy president is being sidelined and the Kikuyus are being sidelined. Remember, the majority leader in parliament is from them, and parliament makes key decisions. If parliament today decides that we will not have VAT on textbooks,
the majority leader will whip them to it.
Yeah, you can lead them. But if you elect a weak leader who goes to parliament to babble and whine for the president's tune and dance reggae to the president's melodical songs, then you've lost from the beginning.
Right. And so we're shifting blame.
Yeah, we're just shifting blame to the wrong person and to the wrong office. Have you written letters to your members of parliament that you elected there, asking them what have you done about this? Because these laws, even the chairperson of the budgetary committee, it is Ndindi Nyoro. It is not Raila Amolo Odinga. If Ndindi Nyoro is weak and decided to dance to the tune of the president, you are the one who elected that person there. So it is still the people that we are here. And if Ruto decides today to sack him, they'll begin saying that our child and our test ameanza kuwa sideline. For instance, the deputy president. I have not seen the deputy president the president not assigned in fact, he has been set his current residence to be receiving the Prime Minister of Somalia the other day. You know, those are key mandates discussing trade about those issues.
Okay.
But what we just have is that people want to politics about numbers, and this is what they're doing is they are playing politics. If today Rigathi Gachagua will be noted not to have a following in the mountain, he'll be dropped like a hot potato.
Yes.
If Martha Karua proves that she has numbers, she'll be taken there.
Like a cold potato.
Yeah, like a cold potato served there.
Okay.
Yeah. So he will be taken there. And this issue of electing competent people to go there, even in dowry negotiation, when you are going to pay dowry for your wife, or rather not pay dowry but to negotiate about that dowry, you must take people who know how to talk, people who can calibrate words. But if you take people who don't know how to talk, people will go there and just tell that we want 10 million, and they say we need people who can go there, bargain, talk, and make sure that the boy child side. So, but if you take people who don't know how to bargain and take them to parliament, you will complain, you will forever cry. Right. What I'm trying to tell him that is that your region should also have some members of parliament from these other, so that we test and see. Because these people know already now that you just have to win this party ticket. It's a direct ticket to there. Right. Just say that our son is being sidelined and win an election there. Just prove and put this narrative, and you will also win. Another thing, I'm also saying that right now a lot of government duties have been placed to the county governments. So issues like health, they are purely for the counties. These roads that are small roads are for the county government.
Right.
Agriculture for the county government. So if you elect a thief as your governor,
right,
then expect not to have good health, expect not to have good agriculture. I come from Kakamega County, and Oparanya did a lot of good developments. And if you have a good governor, you don't even need to know about the president.
Whether they're in the opposition or they're in the government.
Because the government, and I'd like to really congratulate the government of today, even with the high taxes, at least they have managed to increase the county revenue allocations.
Okay.
From it was 358 billion to around 410 billion to see to it that they develop. But if you award thieves with those county governments, it's like taking a hyena to come and look after your children, and then going to complain to God.
The hyena has eaten your children. Nick, as you answer, I just want to say something about that script that we just talked about. Would I be correct to say that the Mount Kenya region is following under the same trick? Before it was Ruto saying, Uhuru is sidelining me, guys, please, now he's with Raila, empathy politics. Now we will likely have the same, where, Gachagua comes in, manipulates us with sidelining politics, as Fendo is saying. It's like, huyu jamaa amenirusha nje, unaweza jirusha nje pia useme nimerushwa nje as a way to get numbers. Is that the way to go? Also in terms of
as in being rushwa nje. Give us facts and evidence,
right.
Incidences, not
also
rhetorics.
Yes, in terms of development, as he's saying, since part of the conversation that was happening at Limuru, which you are there, is that one man, 1 shilling, 1 vote. How is it like on the ground, as he's saying, with governance, by the leaders who are already in there, before we get to what Ruto isn't doing or what he is doing for the Mount Kenya region?
You know, my good friend Fendo seems to have selective amnesia. I'm just here torn whether he's in government or in opposition. but that's beside the point.
Yeah.
As I've said, I am not standing here to defend Rigathi Gachagua, because those are inside politics of UDA. I don't want to be
part of the UDA,
part of the wrangles. But it is very much clear. For the past 1 week, he had missed up to 11 state activities.
Yes.
Museveni was in Kenya. Who received Museveni?
Raila Odinga and CS Murkomen.
You have the answer.
Yes.
He met.
What is the relationship between receiving a president and being sidelined? Was he told not to be there? Was there formal communication?
Let him finish. Let him finish his submission first.
And that happened because Raila was going to ask for Museveni's vote for AU. Nothing big. Just
let him finish. Then we'll get to you.
No, he's behaving as if we're in a market. So I just want him to tell him to calm down. This podium is ours, so relax.
Wow.
One thing that we have to talk about, and that's why I said I don't want to be dragged or to be trapped into going into UDA politics.
Yeah.
One thing that I want to speak about is the people of the mountain, Richard.
Yeah.
Because nobody is talking about the farms in Naivasha that are being grabbed. You see, on Limuru 3, probably I should let you know what actually happened. The MCA of a specific ward stood up and said, an 88-year-old is in prison. He cannot afford bail fees. Allegedly, he has been accused of grabbing land. And this is a land that he has lived there his whole life. So we did a fundraising
to get him out. That's a very sad state. I'm not coming here to discuss about numbers. I'm coming here to talk about the issues of the people of the mountain. Okay.
Right? That the price of coffee that we are selling to the factories has gone lower. The price of tea that the people of the mountain are farmers has gone lower. The price of milk. You know, our people are farmers. And the easiest way to cripple them is through farming and businesses. And the reason why, by the way, we come up heavily to vote is to protect our businesses and our farms. And that is why you see our people rarely caught for mandamano. But this time out, Richard, I told you, they walked to Limuru 3 to have a discussion. And probably he was giving a history about Limuru. Limuru 1 happened in 1966.
Yes.
When we had the founding father called Jomo Kenyatta. Limuru 2 happened in 2012 when Uhuru was being made Mudhamaki. Limuru 3, Uhuru was not even there. But the people are saying, we want Uhuru to come back. Because Uhuru, right now, the other day we saw the state maligning that he has 441 million as a budget. But we clearly see they're too lazy even to do their factual check. That Uhuru, until today, he has not received any amount.
He's actually not spent any of that allocation.
But that is beside the point, Richard.
Office, yes. Okay.
As I said it earlier, and I want to agree with my good friend, our issues are not whether it's mountain or Kakamega. Our issues is about one man who chooses to divide people for his own benefit. He's using Ndindi Nyoro to disrupt who? One Rigathi Gachagua. He's using Kimani Ichung'wah to discuss who? And that is why our people are saying, we want one man, one vote, 1 shilling. And why are we saying this, Richard? Because we cannot have a population, for example, in Ruiru constituency or somewhere I come from, our voters, right, receive a yearly budget of 200 million with a population of up to 60,000. Let us do the math.
Okay.
Basari itaenda kwa secondary schools, sindio? Bursary, we still go to primary school. Bursaries, we still go to universities. How many people are going to get these bursaries?
Right. It's not an appropriate allocation for the numbers.
A constituency like where Aden Duale comes in, the population is not even more than 200,000. You understand?
Okay.
So
it's about issues and it's not about numbers.
It's not about numbers. It's about issues that we're supposed to talk about.
Right. So I have a final question that I want you guys to tackle, because I really hoped we could get to the US visit by President William Ruto, but it seems we'll have to tackle that next time. Just want to pose one question so that we handle it even as you give your other submissions, which I haven't touched on. It's why can't we do a Kenya 1 meeting, a Kenya 2, a Kenya 3? Why should we do it regionally? I remember Fendo just a few minutes ago saying it's important that also other regions, maybe we have a Kisii 3 meeting there or a Kakamega 1. Why can't we just have a collective conversation about the issues rather than segmenting it and then pointing out who has more, who doesn't have more? Because this is a very easy way of us leading us to a divided election, especially coming up after President William Ruto. What can we do to avoid those segmented conversations? Because that's what makes people think it's about numbers. It's about these people and their self-interest. I'll begin with Fendo.
Thank you very much. Your question is much in order. We need to have one Kenya. And as one is that we begin to notice, and we must know that the symbol of national unity is the presidency. So we must give him and accord him all the support that he deserves and needs to make this country run. We can only have one president. Let's not have roadside proclamations. Let's not start have accusation, but we need a symbol that unites all Kenyans is the presidency. It's the presidency. So I'll now want just to reply to what is said. There is politics and there is economics and there is reality. If an issue comes to you in a political angle, you deal with it politically. We also need to be fair to these politicians. If it comes to you that is a religious matter, you deal with it religious. If it is about economics, you deal with it economics. The issue of prices being low, I feel that is something that we really need to work on and ensure that our farmers are getting something, because agriculture is the main backbone of economics. And one of the economic policies that against Uhuru Kenyatta is that you will find that agriculture is the main backbone of the economy of Kenya, but the allocation of funds going to that area was very little, like 12 billion as compared to security, and Kenya does not go to war every day like Israel is doing. Another thing is that I was in a university and I did logic and critical thinking. Let's not be emotional in thinking and analyzation of issues. When we talk about an old mzee, 88 years old, being in prison, we should talk with laws that incriminated him, not him being 88-year-old, having lived in a land for, 88 years or 100 years or so. So those are issues that were dealt with legally. The courts provided the ruling. So we need to deal with it on a legal issues, and legal issues are very key issues. You can live in a land for 40 years and that land does not belong to you. There are some people right now, and issues to do with the land are very critical. Somebody is going to the United States of America. A mother or a woman or a friend just comes that I don't have a place to stay. Help me, I have children suffering. Just now that you're going to give me this place to stay here. You give them a place, they build their kibanda. They call another person, they build their kibanda. When you come from abroad, you want to build your house, your own stuff. Tell now you have to move kidogo.
They say unanyanyasa wananchi.
Sisi tumekaa hapa, tumelelewa hapa, tumenini. So I say that issues to deal with this, they are not emotional. If you don't have the issues to be there, you don't have to be there. You are not going to be emotional and emotional outburst because of old age or something like that. Legal issues.
So thank you. Guys, we have just 1 minute. I mean, like completely, literally 1 minute. So I'll give you 30 seconds and then I'll give you the last remark 30 seconds as well. I'll give you a minute and I'll give you 30 seconds.
You see, I have to get extra minute because
so I'll give you 30 seconds extra.
1 minute and 30 seconds extra, right?
Let's go.
But before we continue, Richard, Wendo seems to forget that people, 90% of human beings base their decisions on emotions. Why people go on the ballot is because of anger. Anger is an emotion. So we cannot overrule the fact that this guy is so angry enough that he needs to be bailed out. We cannot. And let me assure you, we raised money. If that issue was not serious, we could not have raised money in Limuru 3 for that grand old man. And let us be realistic again. The reason why Kenyans are angry with people, again, it's because of what? Emotions. But that is beside the point.
Okay.
Because I don't want to say we are too logical as a nation, because logic did not apply when you were voting for Ruto.
Where was the logic then? Where was the
I don't understand where was the logic. But if that is the case, we'll have had Miguna for president. If we're going through logic.
Yeah.
But
makes sense.
At the end of the
Let's
day,
not overrule emotions.
responding to why Kenyans are doing regional politics. It's because at the end of the day, it has to start in Kakamega, where it's coming from. It comes to Nairobi. And then at the end of the day, we meet and decide who's our president, who can unite all of us.
These issues. Okay.
On our issues. And one thing I agree with Wendo, the issues of farmers, the issues of the people. At the end of it all, we can do politics, but let us work.
Okay.
Asante sana.
Asante pia Nick.
Yes, so let me say thank you so much to the people of Roysambu, because they sent me every Tuesday to acknowledge Nairobians, to acknowledge our issues.
Yes.
And even so, Mount Kenya Colleges, Universities, Student Association, from our chairman. And we are very angry as students, because nobody's talking about the issues of
students.
Honorable JJ Kagondo.
Okay.
He shot people in Thika. Right? Nobody's talking about such issues.
I wish we had time. I wish we had time.
Let me say
thank you very much.
Let me say patronage to my chairman.
I think he's now eating into my
Chairman of MKUSA.
Chairman of MKUSA.
I'm angry with your chairman because he's never showed up on
I'm here.
So
I'm here.
I want him as well.
I'm here. So my chairman in MKUSA and also my national treasurer, President Eston. Thank you so much.
Fendo, 30 seconds, please.
Okay, just use the 30 seconds.
Yes.
One is the issue that I got out of this table, forgetting to analyze the issue, 1 man, 1 shilling, one coin. This is a very important issue that we also need to know and discuss this issue from a serious critical issue and see what other nations have been doing.
Yeah.
When we say that 1 man, 1 shilling, 1 vote is really going to cost us, what we mean is that there are some regions that have already developed. So when you take this money and reimburse it to already developed regions, you are being inconvenienced. You are going to create issues of marginalization.
Yeah.
There is that Turkana guy in Turkana who cannot afford anything. So we need to also ensure that resources go to that place. But when you say 1 man, 1 shilling, 1 vote, other regions are going to be Singapore, and other regions are going to
be Kenya.
To be now Kenya, to be third world.
Yeah.
So we need to make sure that all these resources we are developing Kenya as a united nation, because we vote as a people. And another thing is that you will be out of this place to go to Turkana for work. You will go to other places. You also need to get those resources there. So we need to ensure that 1 man, 1 shilling, 1 vote does not see light of the day, and I mean development to go everywhere.
It should be equity, not equality.
Equality, yeah.
Okay.
If we go in that route, we'll have other regions just having universities as the source of economic activity.
Yeah.
So we need also to be considerate about the Turkana, the Njebs, the Masai Tunja, and all those people development of their regions.
Okay, thank you very much, Fendo, and thank you very much, Nick, for creating time here. We have really rushed, but I know we are going to pick this up again when we come back again for Biashara Tuesday. Thank you for also tuning in from home at KUTV Kenya. Comes to you, KUTV Rise Today, Monday and Tuesday. Next week on Monday, we'll be here, me and Karen Blessing, on this show together. We'll do it together, so you want to be tuning in for that. And then on Tuesday, maybe we can still as well do it together. But for this one, I'm very grateful that you've created time for us here. From my producer and director, Sir Mr. Ryan Ngure, the whole team of like 20 people behind the scenes, in the cameras, the audio visual, the sound mixing, the transmission, the graphics design. It takes a whole village to bring this show to you. So we're very grateful that you also create time every morning. On social platforms, I'm known as @Richard_OKENYE. Continue this conversation even offline, and then I'll see you again. For this week, I hope that your profits are high and that your jokes are higher, so that you can laugh all the way to the bank. We will be showing this conversation one more time so that you can get to enjoy and then get to see what you react to what these gentlemen are saying. We'll have both of them on set again when we have longer time, so that we see how to tackle all these issues. Thank you very much. I'll see you around.